going on there, Jerk Faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. We are back for another episode this week. With me as ever is the homeboy Rob.
Yay! What's going on?
Lots and lots of interesting things going on. Some infuriating, some sad, some just kind of I just want to burn the mother down. To quote a great man, I want to burn the mother
down. It's been an interesting week. Last week was just kind of a crazy week. Work was kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And then then the weekend was pretty good. We've had a lot of great celebrities passing away. Obviously they've, for the most part, lived a pretty long, fulfilling life, it seemed like. But it's still kind of sad to hear that they're gone. And then the news is just I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall with.
It's definitely one of those trying to get blood from a stone type of situations.
Yeah.
But it's just now that it's like Rob said, it's like banging your head against the wall. We'll all get into the maddening details of it all soon enough. But don't forget, we also have the movie review for tonight, and of course, keeping with the theme of this month, which is secret societies. If you didn't catch last week's episode, we reviewed Captain America: Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite movies.
So good.
So good, so relevant. It's just it's happening right now, but it's just Hydra's revealed itself, but no one really cares. That's kind of what I took away from it. It's just Hydra's revealed itself, but just nobody cares.
Yeah, well, and that's hey, you know what? Today's movie is actually going on today as well.
Yes, it is. If you didn't see, in the title, but yes, we will be reviewing Eyes Wide Shut, the final film of Stanley Kubrick, because he did pass away, and I think they shot it and everything, but then they were in the middle of editing it, and that's when he passed away.
Because post-production ended up taking about a year, and he, after the first, I think it was the final his final cut that he had done, that Kubrick did after showing it to the stars of the movie and the producers. He died about 6 days after that. So just kind of there's a lot of interesting rumors about that, and there's also some rumors of the movie. We'll get into that a little bit during the review. So it's a weird movie. But it's great, and I can't wait to talk about it. I have pages of notes.
Yeah, me and Rob both picked 2 movies for this month, and so this is definitely his movie. And he I can sense he was just dying to talk about it. Even we kind of broke radio silence this week, or up today, just trying to coordinate behind the scenes for tonight's stream, and I could tell Rob was just chomping at the bit. He just wanted to talk to me about it and just pretty much hash it out right then and there.
Yeah, dude, there's so many things I wanted to talk about. Because I was I watched the movie last week, and I was starting to work on my notes, and then today just kind of refresh myself. I wanted to rewatch some of the scenes, and I was reading articles and listening to some interviews, and I was just Andy, we gotta what do you think about this, and how about this scene? And it's
I know you were kind of what was it, trying to get a feel how I was feeling about this movie, but I knew what you're trying to do, and so I'd stop you and just and I had to give you one answer. It's okay, cool, I'll check it out, that kind of thing. And
I was trying to give you some points to maybe think about, so that we can, maybe have, so you're not like blindsided by some of my questions.
Yeah, I know, but like, but honestly, you were trying to go, kind of provoke me into like talk, just talking about the movie, in our messaging, in our group chat.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It.
yeah, I know, dude, I know you, You were trying to, instigate a discussion with me, in the chat, and I was just like, I know what you're doing, so no, I gotta deny you because,
You shot me down, dude.
I know. I had to because I didn't want you to blow your load like before the stream.
Oh, dude, I have a lot to. I'm probably not gonna get to everything that I have written down, but we'll.
Right. We talked about this and like how we should proceed. And we came up with an approach, and so we won't be able to go into maybe everything because like then because talking about this movie it should it'll take up the entire time and.
We'd have like an Eyes Wide Shut, like part 2 and 3 and 4 review. It's
Yeah.
like that's how deep this movie is.
Yeah, absolutely. But to spare the general audience, we're gonna limit the scope, as and as much as possible, so we could fit it within the time format of this stream, like hour and a half to 2 hours, just
Sounds
depending. But yeah, I mean, let's get all of the other kind of minutia out of the way here. And I'll let you start off because I know because you wanted to talk. You kind of wanted to just kind of bring this up, which is like the whole Bubba Wallace situation.
Oh yeah, okay. We'll start with that.
Yeah.
So this happened during the break, and then obviously we had a lot of catch up to do with what was going on during the break. So we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, but about the I don't know if anyone remembers the Bubba Wallace incident at Talladega Super Speedway last year. I think it was like April or May, and there was this whole thing about like, oh, there was a noose found in the Bubba Wallace's garage door stall, and there was this whole crazy FBI investigation. They sent down like 15 FBI investigators, and there was this whole thing. And obviously, it was much ado about nothing, as always, as all these, race hate crimes are. God, I fucking hate that term, but that it just I had to use that term because that's what everyone knows. But it's so fucking stupid.
Right,
Like,
I know. Yeah, I hate that distinction that they made, or like kind of came up with like as a category of crime. It's like, isn't like if you transgress against somebody, isn't like malice or malintent kind of implied?
yeah, it's like So what's the opposite? A love crime? Like
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's what I early on I was because especially with like all of the kind of Black Lives Matter stuff and just like it's like, oh, it's a hate crime, it's like, you know what, all right, show me a love crime, or well, I mean technically you could kind of you can categorize crimes of passion as love crimes.
Yeah.
But let's come up with, okay, you have to show me an indifferent crime. Where it's like, why'd you kill him, Nikki? It's like, it just seemed like the thing to do.
I just like killing.
I know. I just like killing. It's like remove all emotion. Find me a murder. Find me a rape. Find me a B&E where it was like emotion is completely removed, or like the idea of malice or just premeditation is completely taken out of it, and just show me a crime like that, and then I'll grant you the premise of a hate crime.
just I fucking hate it. But anyways, I had to
Yeah,
use
yeah,
that
yeah.
term because that's what people understand.
Right.
Anyways, most of these, quote unquote hate crimes are a lot of them are all bullshit. I'm not saying like that it's like 98%. I'll grant 2% maybe are
Hmm.
maybe real, but there's so many of these that have come out from these I mean, case in point, we just had someone that was convicted of a fraudulent fraudulent use of this in Jussie Smollett, and this is um, and here's the thing: what first of all, what really pissed me off is that Bubba Wallace, like maybe he did think, at first I was like, maybe this guy did think that this was something that happened. I don't think that he generated all this stuff. Like I don't think he was like Jussie Smollett, where he's like wearing the noose around his neck. Apparently, and it's like, look what they did to me. You know, it's like it's not like that where he paid like two Nigerians or anything like that. But I think that maybe he did think. At first, I thought, oh, maybe he did think that this happened, and it's like, and so yeah, NASCAR found it serious, and they had the FBI come and investigate. They did an exhaustive investigation about that, and it turned out I was like, no, it's just a garage door pull. And in the meantime, like while that investigation was going on, of course, that what people don't realize, the NASCAR community, the competitors, majority of the fans, but like all pretty much all the teams, not racist or homophobic or any of that stuff. They don't care. All they care, this is a traveling circus. Like, yeah, they are fierce competitors on the track. They get pissed off at each other, but when one of their own is going through something or needs something, the NASCAR community is there. All the competitors are there to like help you out, to back you up. Um, and that has been throughout the beginning of the sport. It's always been like that. The most famous of the black drivers was Wendell Scott. He's until this past year, he was the only black driver to have won a race in the Cup Series. And yeah, there's fans who at the time, like where they were racing, obviously it's the Southeast. There was a lot of racism and stuff like from the fans and stuff. Okay, I'll grant that. But none of all the competitors backed this guy up, and in fact, they helped him on numerous occasions. He's a independent driver, doesn't have a lot of funding, so a lot of times, like, hey, you need some tires, you need help with like getting an engine or whatever, and they the sport helped him out, like, and that happens with like a lot of these independent drivers who don't have a lot of funding or whatever. It's like but if you're a good person, people are gonna come back you up, and that's been the case all throughout NASCAR history. And of course, like when Bubba Wallace is supposedly going through this terrible thing, he the entire sport was behind him. And I think he would.
Right. I mean, like figuratively and literally, where where they had that whole thing where like they like all like kind of pushed his car out.
Yeah, and I think that, but the thing is, like, that whole moment, that was not some contrived moment. It wasn't scripted or whatever. It was just that is the genuine heart of the NASCAR competitors. They are gonna back you to the hilt, when one of their own is going through a problem.
Right. In
And
that
I
way,
think,
it's very honorable because like the idea of taking on a competitor or a rival, when they're 100%, as opposed to like taking advantage of like an injury or or some kind of disadvantage.
yeah,
It's I don't know how prevalent of an idea this is, but just it would be like you know um, if Steph Curry decides to take on like some like rookie, head to head, but um, the rookie forgot his shoes or whatever, so Steph Curry like gives him hit like a pair that he has in his locker or whatever.
exactly. Like I remember like back a number of years ago, like Stephon Marbury, who was a kind of a contentious player, but like the one thing that I did always respect him about is that his shoes, he made sure that they were an affordable price so that people that were his fans, like that were didn't have a lot of money, that they could afford basketball shoes. It's like I'm not going to sell my shoes for $150, like so that my fans who don't have young black
Right.
kids who can't afford $150 shoes, they can buy mine for like $15.
Huh. That sounds like. I mean, I don't know how authentic it is, but I remember seeing a video of Shaq kind of recounting like a similar story of how like Reebok came to him like ready to sign him up for a shoe deal, but like they're gonna charge like 150 dollars for his shoes, and like a woman came in like kind of, or the way he recounts it, like a woman came to him and say, oh, my babies can't, like I can't afford that for my babies, and expect him to feed them. And so like he went back, and supposedly he went back and like tore up the deal, and then like went out and like created his own shoe.
Yeah, and well, and that was Shaq did that, Stephon Marbury did that, and all the proceeds that Stephon Marbury made from his shoes, he put back into because he was played for the Knicks at the time. He put all that money back in the community, and it's
Mm.
just like I don't need the money. I'm making money, so this is all going to go back to like young kids who need like equipment for basketball and whatever clubs
Hmm.
and stuff. But that's kind of like what the NASCAR community does. Like
Hmm.
it's they are going to help each other out. And I think when the investigation was complete and obviously nothing was found, um, what you would expect is like, man, like, this is kind of a scary situation. And I'm so glad that, nothing came of this. And like, it was nothing. And that the NASCAR family does not have this, kind of racism problem in the garage area. And he could have said that. And I think I would have been like, yeah, okay, you went through this situation and you realized it was nothing, and yeah, awesome. I'm so happy about that. Problem alleviated. But that's not what he did. He never said that. He never came out and
Right. He
said,
never came like as much like support like that as the other competitors gave to him. Like he didn't like back them up and be like, oh no, there's, I don't, he didn't come out with a statement saying like, oh, I don't think any of the competitors, have a racist bone in their body, or they're not the sort. He didn't come out and say that, but like yeah, like you, I didn't actually see the documentary, but I did see the trailer for it, and like you know, to me it doesn't seem like he had their back.
yeah, well, no, now here's the thing, because I was like, I was kind of like sort of semi on the guy's side until like this is just to catch everyone up. Is like, yeah, he when it came out that there was nothing, not only did he not like say like kind of say what he should have said, he kind of sort of doubled down and like he bullied like supposedly his friends in the sport. Champion Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, who's another really popular driver. And it's pretty much like, you guys need to do something. You guys need to stand up and say something. And it's like,
You
really?
have to be better.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was like that Falcon and Winter Soldier fucking stupid speech.
Yeah,
And it's
you
like,
have to be better, Senator.
yeah, it's such bullshit. It's like to me, if I was his friend and he told me that, I was like, hey, you know what? Fuck you, dude. Yeah, I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Well, yeah. I guess this is where like we kind of differ in that I won't grant him. Uh, I
Oh
won't
no,
grant it. I don't. No, no. I won't grant him that he didn't understand like that rope wasn't a garage door pull, because like
yeah,
as much as, I mean, as new as he is to the sport, quote unquote, like he's been in the garage. He's been around the facility, and he's seen like the same rope on every single garage door in that garage. And so so for him to mistake it as a news is patently absurd to me.
Oh yeah, no, no. Well, see, here's the thing. I was giving him some of the benefit of the doubt
Hmm.
until he didn't come out and like defend the sport and like kind of show like, yeah, hey, everything's good. No, he didn't do that. That's where I was like, oh, this guy is he's a liar. And
Yeah, but I mean,
you know,
yeah, I mean that's like, I mean, I don't follow it. I mean, I'm not like you. 'Cause you're a super fan. You grew up with it or whatever. But even just like him, like not, not being able to just be like, say, ha, it's like whoever's like sending him that picture is like, hey, look, doesn't it look like the news? It's like, ha, you're an idiot, and just like let it go. But then, yeah, like I knew he was a piece of shit from day one, and and I was ready to just like, blow past this and be like, okay, cool, whatever, all right, this happened, and they had like that big show of support for him, at that race.
I think
Okay,
he, I
cool, but yeah, like yeah, but then like yeah, but like this him not backing up like the other competitors or the other guys who really put themselves out there for him, just confirm what I already thought of him.
I think that when that happened, he was like, fuck. It's like they're not racist. God damn it.
Right. I mean, I could like, yeah, it's like it's sad, but like I could see in like the working of his mind. It's like, damn it, they're not racist.
Yeah.
You
And
know. So
then
even like, yeah, even when he was like hugging Richard Petty or whatever, he's like, damn it, this guy's not a racist.
Richard Petty has never been like a racist guy. He helped when like guys like Wendell Scott, like throughout his career. Like it's
Yeah, I
it's
know,
super
but like, yeah,
cool.
I distinctly remember there was like a shot of like him and like Richard Petty like hugging it out.
Yeah.
After like the entire like pit came out and like helped push his car or whatever. But it's like in
Oh
his
right.
mind, I could see in his mind saying like, God damn, he's like, this guy's not racist.
Yeah. And what's like, and he's his car owner. He at the time was his car owner too. So
Hmm.
it's just but I was like, okay, but then it was kind of went past, and then Bubba Wallace ended up winning this past year at Talladega. It just so he ended up winning, and that's when I think ESP or CNN Sports
Yeah,
decided that they
yeah, CNN
needed,
Sports Division.
yeah, that they needed to put out this documentary, and this is where Bubba Wallace could have been like, yeah, guys, it was actually much ado about nothing, and I'm not going to do it. But no, he doubled down, and he's continuing to be a piece of shit who is a liar. Um, the guy is uber talented. He doesn't need to do any of this stuff, but he's a liar and loves the attention. And the fact that the statement that really got to me was that like I saw who was silent, and I'll remember that. It's like, you know what, dude, fuck you. No one, no, you do not deserve anything that anyone gets. Like the fact that like the entire garage area was willing to stand behind you when they thought that there was something serious going on, and then to be honest, I would be incredibly humiliated and insulted when it showed that there was nothing that happened. And not only did you not like defend the sport and your competitors, you double down and
Yeah,
are
he threw them
continuing
under
to
the
make,
bus.
yeah, you throw them under the bus. And I am absolutely furious. I just this is where, and there's all, to be honest, the sanctioning body now with NASCAR is it's something that I do. I really do not like the sport anymore. It's not that the racing is bad, but this shit, like all the woke crap that is going on in the sport, like I can't defend. I refuse to defend it. Our sport has
Right.
never been homophobic or racist or whatever else you
Well, I
want to
mean, yeah,
throw.
just recently they banned what is it? Brandon Brown, the guy that who was just
Oh,
kind of like
this yeah.
the originator of the Let's Go Brandon meme. Like yeah, like he lost a lot of sponsorships, and then this cryptocurrency called LGB coin, which is short for Let's Go Brandon coin. Came
Yeah.
aboard. It's like, hey, we'll sponsor you, and so like yeah, they did, and they revealed the car, but NASCAR kind of intervened and said like, no, you can't have like that. I forget what the justification was, but it's like basically you can't
Oh,
have them
yeah.
as a sponsorship.
They never stated justification for it, and like the thing is like why a lot of people are upset. It's like, well, you said yes, and now you're saying no, and it's like, but then
Right, but then yeah, and then the very next day they announced like a partnership with the Carolinas like LGBT plus like organization or something, and
yeah,
then like they put and then like NASCAR put out like a full throated uh, announcement of like their partnership. It's like, oh, we're NASCAR is excited to partner up with the Carolinas LGBT plus organization to bring more inclusivity into the sport and yada 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 blah blah blah.
I absolutely hate all this shit. And the Brandon Brown situation kind of sucks because that's not his fault.
Yeah, the
The guy,
guy literally didn't do anything. All he did was win a race. And then the crowd began to chant, fuck Joe Biden, and then the fucking reporter, she ran cover for that. I mean, whether or not it was, because she's a blue state shill or whatever, or she's, just trying to keep the network
I,
from getting an FCC strike.
I actually, if I had to make a guess, because Kelly Savage, she's been a reporter with NASCAR for quite a long time. Like, and she knows her stuff. She's not an idiot.
Right. Well, wait, but
I,
like, but regardless of like, whatever side that she's actually on, it doesn't matter because like, it's like it wasn't even his like it's not his fault. It's not the reporter's fault. It's just
no,
it's
I think this was an NBC thing. I think that in her, because they have ears from the producers and stuff.
right.
I think that was
Yeah, but
something
again,
that,
it doesn't even matter like if she was trying to or she was just getting orders from the higher ups. It's like this is
yeah,
all just my point is it's all unintentional, and so it's like this guy, the racer, he's being affected from no fault of his own. He just won a race, and people just started
yeah,
saying something, and then the network, was just again like I know NBC or I'm sure has like left leanings, but they don't want an FCC strike, because people are saying fuck Joe Biden. They're using they're saying fuck,
yeah.
over broadcast,
Had
their
had
network,
nothing.
and so they don't want to get strikes, and so they come up with like this kind of this cover, but that then turns into like this rallying call.
Had nothing been said, no
Yeah,
one would.
no one would have. Yeah, no, it would have just gone over their heads. Like no one, like maybe like people would have like be able to hear it, but if the network just didn't acknowledge it or didn't try to like hide, or like kind of like run cover by default. Not I'm not saying that they were or they weren't. It just happens that they were trying to cover it up. It's this is all like this. What is it? It's like these these are consequences of the unintentional. It's
Yeah,
like
well,
this
and because
like this
now they're
Brandon Brown character. He wasn't trying to lead some like meme revolution. He just won a race, and the NBC people, they didn't want to get a strike from the FCC, so they came up with this colloquialism,
yeah.
unintentionally.
Yeah, and well, and here's the thing with that too. It's like because that's yeah, like I said, I like Brandon Brown. I think he's a good driver. He has his own team, and is like I said, he's a fan favorite. And he was trying to take kind of utilizing the meme that like I can't get any other sponsorship right now because there's all these fucking woke corporations that are trying to infest like NASCAR. So like obviously they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to be a part of that. So you have this cryptocurrency that is utilizing let's go Brandon, and which I think is, to be honest, is great. It's like, yeah, let the kid use his let him use the goddamn cryptocurrency that's utilizing his name. Like, come on. Yeah, but then they'll allow shit like because Bubba Wallace drove a Black Lives Matter
Right?
car
Yeah.
last
One of the
year.
things that they
Like
said in like their
actual
announcements,
current
like
organization.
one of the things that they like mentioned in the when they said they weren't going to allow Brandon Brown's LGB coin car, was because like they didn't want to like get too broiled into politics. But it's like you already did that. Every time you put like you put the rainbow flag on the NASCAR logo, or you allowed Bubba Wallace to have his Black Lives Matters car.
Yeah,
So like you already went there. You already went there with NASCAR.
And that's where I was like, when that started happening, I was like, what the fuck is happening to this sport? Like, it's ridiculous. I do not like the fact that there's any sort of political anything on the race cars. Like, even right or left. I don't want that. I don't want to watch NASCAR, and I want to enjoy the race. I want to enjoy the personalities. I just want to watch racing. That's all I care about. I like, I just want to enjoy the drivers, the fun of the sport. I could give two fucks about their political leanings or whatever. It's like, keep it off the racetrack. If you want to talk about that shit, like, go on CNN or Fox News or your Twitter and Instagram accounts. All I want to do is watch racing and enjoy racing. And I can't do that anymore.
Right. I just want to watch people make left turns all day. All right. Is that too much to ask for?
So I have been relegated. Like, it's like I can't really watch. I refuse to watch current NASCAR. I enjoy old races. The NASCAR podcasts I listen to are talking about the history of the sport, which I still think it's one of the greatest sports there is. I mean, there was a time where we rivaled the NFL as the number one sport in America. We were right nipping at their heels, and then NASCAR just could not. I don't know if it was just like the people that were running the show, or what, or if it's just like, the drivers that really made the sport. They were kind of, getting out of the sport because of, retirement and stuff like that, and we just didn't have anybody to fill it in. And now with, I mean, God, I am so tired of corporations like We Care, and and talking about like all this political stuff. It's like, what the fuck are you selling? Like, you're not, I don't care that Taco Bell cares, or whatever other, like, companies. Like, fuck that. Just sell
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all done. It's all perverted. What is it? I remember eHarmony. You know that that website that's that's supposed to.
Oh yeah, I'm
dude. I saw their for a long time they didn't, because I know some people that use eHarmony, to find like their their significant others, or their their spouses or whatever, and for the long what
eHarmony is terrible.
Yeah, well, for the longest time, and I think it was like, it was started by, is it a pastor? I don't know.
Yeah, it was initially like a Christian-run organization, and
yeah. But then, I just a few weeks ago I saw their first like gay relationship advertisement. Yeah, it's like, okay, so that's so now even eHarmony, like, for the longest time they would not do like homosexual relationships, but now, like, I saw like I think they were dancing around it for a long time. They weren't like saying straight out like that they were doing like homosexual relationships now, but the first I saw, like, just a few weeks back, it was a dude. And of course it was an intersectional or interracial couple. It was a black dude and a white dude, and the black dude was making like breakfast, and like they had like, and he was like spreading jam on like a piece of toast, and they and he and like the one gay dude feeds it to the other gay dude, and just like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, we're it's like building real relationships. Like, that's not a real relationship, all right.
I mean, that's a euphemism if I've ever heard one. The black guy spreading jam on toast.
Yeah, I know. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. I would have gotten there. But yeah, it's all become perverted. It's all become woke. It's like, And I'm just so sick of it. It's not like it's not like I'm saying I want to kill all the gays. I just don't want to see it. I
I
just don't want to. I'm just so sick of hearing about it. It's like, oh, you have to be tolerant of, you have to be tolerant of this, or you have to be or you have to be intolerant of that. It's like, why? What if what if it goes against my, fundamentally held beliefs? Like, what if there's a passage, what if there's a specific rule in my belief system that says that you're not allowed to do this? And okay, like and I won't. But and it also says that I'm not to promote it either. So it's like, okay, I won't. But then you're saying no, that's hateful. It's like, how is it hateful?
I
Like
have
when it's been a long-standing rule. All right, you're whatever. That's recent. All right, that's just recent.
yeah, it's ridiculous, and I hate that the sport that I love the most is like because I always laud it. It's like, yeah, you have baseball, you have football and basketball that are just really going down this like horrible path. But you know what, my sports, I felt like it stands for like patriotism, and it's it's the one sport that actually gives a shit about the country and like value somewhat like Christian values and stuff like that. It's just stuff that like things that I can enjoy, and I I can't enjoy it anymore. Yeah, it's sorry to say. I still kind of keep an eye on it, but I am I can't do it anymore. So I go back to the past and I enjoy that.
Does that mean I'm off the hook for going to a race with you?
Well, if there's ever a change, we'll I'll take you, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
If there's ever a restoration back to their fundamental principles, then we can talk. But
Yeah,
until
but
that
no,
time,
I wouldn't subject you to that. And God, some of the like the NASCAR YouTubers too. I'm just like there a lot of the because I follow these guys on Twitter too, just kind of, because I'm trying to kind of keep up with like what people are saying and stuff like
yeah,
that. And I'm
just trying to keep your ear to the ground.
yeah, and oh my God, I've gotten into so many fucking arguments with these people. It's just like you guys have no idea what the fuck you guys are talking about. I've been a fan since like '89. I actually didn't care like about like necessarily like the Confederate flag being banned. I kind of sort of understand that in a sense. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. So I had no problem with that. But like all this other stuff, I do have a huge problem with because it is it's not good for the sport. You're catering to people that are never going to come watch a race, and
Yeah,
you you are sending the hardcore fans away, and that's why the stands are not filled. Uh, NASCAR I mean, on a weekly basis, uh, would sell out their races, and it's like 150,000 people at the racetrack every week. I mean, you couldn't find a ticket, and now it's like they are having to like they're ripping out grandstands because like, oh, we can't fill the seats. Yeah,
Mhm.
I wonder why. It's not because the racing is bad. It's because or that people don't like the drivers or anything. I guarantee that's not the problem. But the problem is all this other shit that nobody likes, and you're force feeding that onto them. And if they don't like partake, it's like you're telling them pretty much like go to hell.
Right. It's always an interesting thing, because there's always like some sort of parallel, whether you like it or not. There's always some sort of parallel. 'Cause, like, you had like Major League Baseball, but you also have like Negro leagues, or you have like the NBA, but you also have and one. But
Yeah,
why there's no corresponding parallel with NASCAR. Just like I want like, you kind of have to wonder why that is. Like, and I mean, I have an idea. I'm not saying it's proven, but it's a cultural thing. It's a cult. It's very much a cultural thing, because like, because NASCAR is really a family oriented sort of sport. Because especially like when you're first starting out. Just going by some of like the documentaries that we watch and what have you about the sport, and just some of the stuff that I've seen on my own. But it's like, yeah, fathers would take their sons and to the and have them help them like soup up the car, or be part of the pit and things like that, and then the son would get involved in it, and then he become become part of the races.
Yeah, I
But
mean, like that's exactly what the sport is about, and it's not like that anymore.
right, but then but like they're saying like, oh, because there's no black people it means it's racist. Like, that's not what it is. It's I mean, my theory is that because of the degradation or destruction of the black family, that's why you don't have many black that a lot of black participation in NASCAR.
And it's I mean, we're starting to see more of that too. I mean, having the fact that we have Michael Jordan as a team owner in the sport now, that's huge. I mean, come on, Michael Jordan is awesome. I
Yeah,
like Michael.
exactly. I mean, we both came up in the time of Michael Air Jordan, so
And
he's a
he's not
big
just
fucking deal.
and he's not just some like fair weather fan. The guy has been a NASCAR fan his entire. He grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, with the hub
That's
of
right.
NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
and
he went to the University of North Carolina.
yeah, and here's the other thing too. He's not the first black owner in the sport either. Brad Doherty owns a race team. He's been a NASCAR owner for 25 years.
Right,
So
but yeah,
and Brad Doherty, he loves the sport. He loves the sport. He's an owner. He's been an announcer for quite a long time too. He's the guy knows his shit. Like he's not, like I said, not another guy that's a fair weather fan. And I like that he's in the sport. Um, and the fact that there aren't a lot of black race car drivers right now is just because, listen, the sport is really expensive. There's a lot of
yeah,
people
no, exactly. I mean, that's like, yeah, that's partially the reason why family was such a big component, like especially early on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about like the very beginning, like it's again, like the roots of NASCAR is bootleggers, and that was a family business. You
Well,
probably
like
you had you had the dad, like probably make the moonshine, then you had the son who souped up his car, and to outrun the police.
yeah.
There's the foundation of the sport right there, family. And
Well,
then
and
like
for
when it started becoming more commercialized, or kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for, or become more organized. Yeah, you had family pits. You had the father, like because of his his good paying union job or whatever, and he was able to afford a kind of like a hobby car, and he was able to tune it up on the weekend, and then put it and take it out to races every month or so. It's and again, like, and then you just again you bring the children, and so
yeah. Well, I mean, and for the longest time, there wasn't a whole lot of like guys that were racing every single week. The only people that did that were the Pettys and the Wood brothers.
mm,
And they found it's like, well, if we go to X amount of races, we can make a career out of this. Everyone else
right,
had normal jobs, and they would
exactly,
come to certain races, and that was it. And so you'd have guys that, for the most part, their entire career never really raced a full season. Not that they were bad drivers, but it's like they had different lives.
they had again, yeah, because they had families, they had jobs, they couldn't invest the time it took, or they didn't have the money to invest, because again they had families.
Yeah, and it's
So
just
so they might have been able to afford that one kind of like hobby car, and like, and race it, a weekend here and there, but nothing where they can go professional.
Yeah, and
Um,
the sport is so different from how it was back
right from its inception.
even 25 years ago. I mean, it's so different. But it's just, yeah. All I had to say though, Bubba Wallace is a piece of shit. Doesn't He's talented and didn't need to do all this, race hoax shit.
Right, yeah,
But
yeah. He's a good driver, but he has no integrity.
no, he has zero integrity, and it kills me because that was a guy that I actually kind of rooted for because like, hell, if this guy can get a good ride, he's gonna win races because he's fucking talented, and he just kind of decided he
Yeah,
needed.
he squandered it. He squandered it. He could have, yeah, he could have had, he could have been a great. He could have, he could have been, remembered as, he could have been mentioned in the same breath as, Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt, or Richard Petty, and the greats. But
I really do think that he has that type of talent. He can win. I think he could win multiple races a year. He could win championships. He's that good.
yeah,
But
he just took the shortcut, and he went the, yeah, he took the shortcut and like try to go the intersectional social justice route.
yeah, and trust me, NASCAR was not like rooting against Bubba Wallace. Sponsors were clamoring to be like, "Oh, we have a talented black driver." It's like, of course, I want to sponsor his car. The problem is though, the team that he was with is not. They're not the like the top team. Like they're really about like a C team. They
Mm-hmm.
have flashes of brilliance. There's certain tracks that they can compete on, but you're not going to win a championship with that team. You're going to win maybe a race every couple of years. They just don't have the equipment. It's not his fault. It's not racism. It's just that's just the reality of the sport. There's always been teams like that,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that he was taking a C team, and occasionally running in like the top 5 and top 10, that's pretty miraculous. And the fact is, sponsors were clamoring for him. His contract was ending. He was gonna get a good ride. It was gonna happen, but he took a shortcut instead, and it just
Yeah, I mean, instead of being spoken about, in the same breath as the greats, he's gonna be spoken of, with your juicy Smolliers
I have zero respect for him.
and who's another hoax hater or a big name. Well, yeah, like yeah, I mean that's why the two are so. Uh, that's why those two are synonymous with each other, because
Yeah,
they try to go down the same route, or they try to use the same tactic,
yeah, just
but it ended up
ridiculous.
blowing up in their face.
So just another useless documentary that doesn't need to be watched, just like the Pete Buttigieg and Dr. Fauci uh, freaking documentaries. Like useless people that don't deserve the time of day.
Yeah, I mean, one guy who takes in the butt, and then one is Pete Buttigieg. So,
Um,
anyways,
but anyways, why don't we move on to our next topic? What do you want to start with?
moving on. Oh well, this will be pretty quick, but I guess just all the recent deaths, of notable actors and such. I mean, the biggest is probably Betty White at 99. She
Yeah,
was just like I think she was just a few weeks shy of her 100th birthday,
yeah, yeah.
and
It's kind of
that's always sad.
she was the sole surviving Golden Girl.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll be honest, that was a huge guilty pleasure show for me. I still catch some Golden Girl episodes now and again.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I really liked the show. I thought it was hilarious. I grew up watching that show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and well, Betty White's character, Rose Nyland, I just thought was hilarious because she's kind of like this, like kind of like airhead, but
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
so
yeah.
sweet at the same time.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, not a
I
mean bone in her body, but I mean
no,
that doesn't mean like she was a pushover.
no,
Um,
no, not at all. And
yeah,
Betty White is just she is a fucking hilarious.
yeah, she
Uh,
was a true comedian, you know, up there with like Lucille Ball and
yeah, and because there was I remember people asked her like, why aren't you doing? Because should have been doing movies. Like, I mean, she's that talented,
mhm.
but she didn't really do movies. And the reason that she gave is like, I never really wanted to do movies because I feel like I like being able to go to the same place every day and like have like a family within like the acting community, and at the same time like week after week I'm coming into your home, and like I feel like I'm being a part of your family. I'm contributing to your family with you watching the show. And so like the
Right.
how
Yeah,
like
that
the
makes
fan.
sense. Well, yeah, because it also that makes a lot of sense also because you know it was really surprising when I found this out and and it made me a little sad. But yeah, Betty White she forewent uh, she forewent having children because you know she said that she wanted to focus on her career and you know that made me really sad to hear. Um,
Yeah. um
you know, and so like yeah, hearing that about like her wanting to you know be part of like you know it's probably also because she's you know she rather have like a regular schedule and like a steady paycheck. You know, especially if,
yeah.
you know for back then, like you know, not you know there weren't that too many. I mean, I'll admit there weren't too many opportunities for women, even in show business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like she like having a consistent paycheck and also just like yeah, Betty White, she was you know she was you know someone ahead of her time because
I
you
mean,
know
arguably like
because she was
behind maybe.
like cause think about it like she's been part of the pop culture for going on like you know 40
Ever.
like forever like since like you know uh, since her early days in like the 50s and then like when she did Mary Tyler Moore and then when she did Golden Girls in like the 80s 90s and then Hot in Cleveland like she yeah, like
Yeah.
every big era of television she is like she's been part of it you know, and
Yep.
she's been and so she's been a part of like the pop culture forever. Even like in small things, like when she did that Snickers commercials back in like the early like late '90s, early 2000s.
Oh,
That
it
was
was
like
great.
that was the biggest commercial that year.
Yeah.
You know, all thanks to her.
Well, and arguably behind maybe like Lucille Ball and like Mary Tyler Moore, I think
Hmm.
she's probably like the most famous, you know, uh, TV actress. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, everyone loves Betty White. I mean,
Yeah.
she's funny, she's talented, and yeah, probably should have been. She probably could have been in movies, but she's like, I love television. I think, and
Yeah. No. Yeah. She again, Betty White. She was an innovator. She saw you know she saw television for what it was. Like this is for this way. I'm in front of people all the time. Like
yeah,
you know I'm constantly with them. I'm constant you know I'm you know there's there's never gonna be a time where I'm not gonna be with these you know with the American public. You know I'm gonna be with them all the time. So
yeah.
and in that way, like Betty White, she was an innovator. You know she saw the power of television. It's like this is my career. Yeah, I could you know I could have more acclaim or more accolades. You know doing movies or and you know that was the attitude back in the day. You know TV was thought of as like you know
What you're only a TV actor?
yeah, you're
Oh
only a
my
TV
God, dude!
actor. Like you were just a slightly better than like a stage performer. You
Yeah,
know.
it's so terrible. It's like,
Yeah, I mean like the thinking, but like yeah, but Betty White she used it and like created she made herself into an icon.
yeah. Well, I mean, you watch. I don't know if you've ever seen the Match Game, but she was a constant performer on the Match Game,
Mm.
which is a game show,
Right.
and she,
Yeah, and
oh
like
good.
yeah, and she did like Hollywood Squares and like of course like the first game show she did like where she also met her third husband and like yeah,
Yeah,
and third and final husband I should say.
yeah,
But yeah, the password game.
yeah. Oh yeah, Password. That's right. She was on that too. Oh man,
Yeah.
but it's just yeah, it was really sad to see her go. She was great.
Hmm.
We also lost Sydney Poitier this past week too.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, most people probably know him from In the Heat of the Night.
Right.
Um,
Sir with
you know,
Love.
yeah, Who's Coming to Dinner?
He's coming to dinner, of course.
And a movie that nobody talks about that it's also fucking good is the Blackboard Jungle with him and Glenn Ford. That was probably I think that was one of his first roles in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and he is brilliant in it. We might have to review that at some point. But it's just, yeah, he was a great actor. He kind of got like a lot of crap because he was so polished and he was not like one of those guys that necessarily
Yeah, he
spoke out.
didn't play a pimp or a hustler or anything like that.
Yeah, he always played a
Yeah, he always played a character with dignity.
And he got derided for that. So I was so surprised. Like, why would people not look up to this guy a lot more? Because he, always talking about like the representation and the symbol being a symbol to your community. It's like, who wouldn't want to like become like Sidney Poitier? Like he's a strong character, and not only on the screen, but like that's how he lived his life.
Yeah, he carried himself in a certain way, and he didn't degrade himself.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I was so shocked when I heard that. It's like people gave him crap because of that. You got to be fucking kidding me. Like, well, not us, not like white people or Asians or anybody else. It was the black community that
Of
did
course,
that.
it's always from the community.
The fucking
Whatever that community might be, it's like, oh, like, oh, you too good to play a pimp. It's like, no, it's like, I'm not too good to play a pimp. I don't want to.
exactly. He always played like characters with like that had dignity or
Right,
with
good, or like, a strong, like, moral, center.
yeah, playing like Mr. Tibbs. Oh fuck, dude, In the Heat of the Night is one of the great fucking movies. Him
Yeah,
and
I
like
mean,
Rod
yeah, I
Steiger.
mean, it even got like spun into like a TV series.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's really good. But my God, that movie is good. The sequel to that is not quite as good. They Call Me Mr. Tibbs, but it was still kind of like the same thing where it's like he's a strong black man that has dignity and like is raising a family, and just yeah, I'm kind of sad to hear. Yeah, I mean he's obviously lived a very good life. I just kind of wish that he would have been more respected than he was. And yeah, maybe we'll have to do some like Sidney Poitier movies here pretty soon. We haven't done any yet, but God, he's got a lot of good ones. I mean, I've already named 3 right off the bat that are worthy of reviews. And then we also just lost Bob Saget, who he died fairly young. I hope this is not like a David Carradine situation with him.
Oh yeah. Well, I think the autopsy just came back today. But I mean, I don't want to seem disparaging, but I want to say it's drug related.
God, I certainly that's kind of like what my fear was too, because obviously we grew up and it's like Bob Saget. It's like we know him from Full House. Grew up with, and for me, I was like, when I first heard Bob Saget's stand up, I was like, oh, it's the guy from Full House, cool. And I heard his like stand up for the first time. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, Bob Saget was fucking raunchy, dude.
I was like, I had no freaking clue because he was so. Like,
yeah, he was so like clean cut and like square.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's all we know him as, and so yeah, it's so funny because like he played that role like so convincingly that we actually thought that Dan Tanner like that's who he was, but it's like no, he was like there was like there was like, yeah, on the set of Full House, they like kept like a jar, and like every time he swore or told like a lewd joke, like he had to put money in it. And and I heard like, it'd be filled up like after like one taping of an episode.
That's hilarious.
Well, they say there's no signs of drug usage.
Oh yeah, hopefully it was just something. Maybe I don't know, like if it was like with like Norm Macdonald, he was just like maybe he was sick and we don't know about it, or who knows.
Maybe. I mean,
But
yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, because it's. I mean, maybe it wasn't like the cause of. Maybe it wasn't the cause of death, but maybe like because maybe prior, usage, having a deleterious effect on on his health. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Because this is a guy that we grew up with. This was.
Yeah.
And to be honest, though, his stand-up's actually really funny. He's a really good stand-up comedian. Nowadays, probably people know him as the narrator to How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
He's been on like Entourage and like a bunch of other stuff. He's a big TV star.
I mean, he has a brief cameo in Half Baked.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
yeah, God. He plays the addict. Like, when Dave Chappelle character goes up there and it's like hi. It's like I'm addicted to marijuana. It's like, and everyone's like, all the other addicts are laughing at him. It's like, ha. It's like, have you ever smoked dick for weed? Is that I suck cock for I suck cock for rocks, and like some other guy stands like, yeah, I seen him.
But just kind of like sad to hear like some of these great stars that we grew up with, that we grew up watching on either the movie screen or the silver screen or the TV television. They're going away, and this seems like it's happening more and more often. Like the people that we grew up with are going away.
Yeah, I mean, it's nature, It's
no,
everyone has their time, and
everyone has their time, but it's still like we can still kind of be like, oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen to us.
Yeah, everyone has their time, and everyone has their time to die, and the same can be and will be said of us, So.
But I just wanted to honor them a little bit. I'm sure we're probably gonna have a few more of these later in the year. But yeah, I just wanted to honor these three who were really big as far as like me growing up. So just wanted to give them a little bit of time.
Yeah. Indeed.
Why don't you introduce our next story, and then I'm gonna use the bathroom.
All right, for sure. Yes. Well, if you guys remember, back almost like 2 years ago, where government and media all said 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That was 2 years ago. Just so 2 years ago have passed since 2 weeks, and for some reason that damn curve just won't just doesn't want to stay flattened. I guess. Because we're 2 years in, still in it, and nothing has changed. People are still getting sick. Some are dying, and government is constantly overstepping their reach, their bounds, and exerting more and more power than they ought to, or than they are prescribed in various constitutions, be it federal or state. But for some reason, maybe a little light at the end of the tunnel. But it seems that certain media organizations and certain figures of note are changing their tunes on certain things. Where we've come full circle when stuff that Fauci said at the beginning of all of this is now considered misinformation. Like the whole like you don't need to wear a mask. That like if you put up from that 60 minutes interview, if you were to post it up on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, that would be considered misinformation, and you'd be slammed for it.
But Andy, that's the science has changed.
I am the science. I am the science. But yeah, but like now, just recently, the most peculiar thing started to happen, and journalists, realized what their job was, and that was, and that's to hold public officials to account.
It's shocking.
I'm shocked. But you've had you recently you had like Jake Tapper come out and question the death rate in hospitals because like say hey he like asking Dr. Sanjay Gupta of CNN like it's like how many people are dying from COVID and how many are just dying with it making that very important distinction of did this person die because of the virus or did they happen to die with the virus and just like it's just it's so weird like the journalists have discovered what just this last few weeks the journalists remembered what their job was.
I know, it's shocking, right? And here's the thing is like, well, you know what, guys? Too little, too late. I don't believe a goddamn thing you say. I mean, I was just talking with some people on Twitter today where it's like, I don't believe anything the legacy media says. Doesn't matter if it's Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or CBS.
Right. I mean, like if they're saying the stuff that I was saying from the very beginning, then it's like they're that they're losing something. That they're trying to get ahead of something. And it's pretty obvious what that is, and like they're losing control of the narrative because of the just the amount of cases that are coming out of like fully vaccinated people. I mean, just recently, you had AOC come out. She's triple jab, and yet she still got COVID. Symptomatic COVID, by the way. I mean, to what extent I don't know, but they admit that she has symptomatic COVID after being triple jab. And you had Elizabeth Warren, she was triple jab, still got COVID.
Well, here's the thing though, they're finally starting to maybe like sort of tell us the truth about this. What are they hiding now?
Right, because this is all a distraction because this is a move to put people off balance. It's to put the people who've been talking about this, like us, for the past 2 years, off balance. They're trying to make us incensed. That's what it is because they're trying to cover up for something else.
It's like, okay, great, you're telling us the truth finally. That's something that we knew 2 years ago. Like, welcome to the party, pal. But like, what is it? Why are you telling us the truth now? It's like, it seems to me like you're already hiding. You're trying to come out in front of something to hide something else. What is it?
Yeah, I think partly because of all of the so-called breakthrough cases, and also I think because I think it really, yes, they are trying to hide something. I haven't been able to discern what that is yet, but I know it's because that they're losing. They're losing on the narrative of vaccines. They're losing on the narrative on masks. I mean, fucking that fucking bitch. Who I just Dr. Lena Wen. Who I just remembered or realized that she was the former head of Planned Parenthood.
Yep. Yeah.
No wonder I fucking hated her, and like no wonder she sounded like a fucking ghoul.
She is a ghoul.
Yeah, but yeah, I forgot that little bit of her. I don't know how I could have, but I did. But anyways, like yeah, just like like beginning of this month, she came out and said that cloth masks were, little more than facial decoration. Like they weren't doing anything. Like you need to wear N95s. And it's just like you're telling us. So if you're saying this now, then that means they were always shit. Just like we were saying at the very beginning, and just like how Dr. Fauci said at the very beginning. But I knew, but here's how I knew that was bullshit, or like masks were bullshit. It's because they said you could wear whatever, it didn't matter as long as it covered your face. Like that's what Dr. Fauci said in a White House press briefing. He said like, oh, it doesn't matter what you use to as a face covering. Just it could be a scarf, it could be a bandana. It didn't matter, and that's how I knew it was bullshit.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I remember like with Leanna Wen, I forgot what bullshit she was spewing one day or whatever, and there was something like Dave Rubin was reacting to with her, and he's like, after like watching her like interview or whatever, he's like, hey, you know what? Fuck you, bitch. It's like it's just
because she, oh my god, she is like the most deranged and authoritarian of all the news network doctors, because she was saying like it's like, oh, like we have to like use this as like a carrot and stick thing where it's like, oh, like if you it's like yeah, so we want people to get the vaccine, so we have to give them more incentives to do so, and and if they don't, we have to give them repercussions.
Yeah, here's the thing, because we talked about this a little bit last week too, where I think had the people had been like more truthful, it's like, listen, this is not a God, what's the word? Immunization. This is just like this is a treatment for like this. Like this is
it's a therapy.
Like it's gonna be similar to a flu shot, like where it's like we might have to have boosters, but this is a treatment towards like preventing some of the more dangerous effects of this COVID-19 virus. I think a lot of people would be like, oh, okay, great, like let's okay, I'll go ahead and I'll take it. That maybe like it'll help me to we're still gonna maybe get it because with the flu shot, they are a lot of times that's a guess. They're okay, this is the most virulent strain of the flu that's going on this season. We have a flu shot that's gonna be with that one, but there are also still flu cases because there are so many different strains of that influenza.
Right. I mean, what is it? Like the CDC or like the WHO, they actually decide which continent gets which virus. And I mean, not saying that they're the one that releases the strain or whatever, but like they decide which region gets which vaccine for which strain. So in a lot of ways, they decide which area or which continent gets which strain. Because if they get it for one thing, then the other one can come in. And similar, in like the one in like North America, if they're giving out the shots for strain A, that means a good chance strain B will have a bigger effect, and then vice versa for like Europe. If they get B, then A could be a big a strong strain that hits them. So.
And here's the other thing too: had they come out and said like, listen, we're probably not going to have a vaccine or a cure for this anytime soon, but we're going to try to implement things that are going to help to weaken this virus and to have it mutate where it's like, yeah, it's going to be more contagious, but the effects are going to be much less.
Yeah, milder.
With every fucking virus.
And which arguably happened, because of Omicron.
Omicron is, it's highly contagious because it's looking for hosts, but guess what? It's not killing the hosts either.
Right, and I mean, and that's like the nature of all like airborne viruses is that they they start off really strong, but they go through like the host reserves reservoir very quickly. It's like, oh shit, like we're running out of people, so like they'll like strip parts of themselves so they can keep going, and they'll be less dead. They'll be able to be passed on easily, yes, but they'll be less deadly.
Yeah, and guess
what? Which has happened now because Omicron seems to be very transmissible, but it seems to be the most mild we've seen so far. So, ostensibly, we've achieved balance. We've achieved homogeneity. So I mean, maybe about time, we roll back these restrictions.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing that people don't realize. Like, we don't have a cure for the common cold
Right? No, yeah, exactly.
or like,
It's like
and
we still give out flu shots every
yeah,
season.
COVID-19 is not a it is not it is an aggressive type of flu. It's not an upper respiratory infection that it causes. It causes lower
Yeah,
respiratory
lower
infection, but it's
respirators.
still the same type of the same type of virus in a sense. And we don't have a cure for that. We haven't had a cure for that for what ever.
Ever
And
since like
so
I guess the OG influenza outbreak of 1919.
and for me, that's why I was like, when people are like, "Oh, we're gonna come up with these vaccines, and we're gonna be, everyone's gonna be cured," and it's like, it's never gonna happen.
I know.
It's
It's like
it,
yeah, it's like oh yeah, okay, tell me about flu then.
yeah,
You know.
and that's where I'm like, listen, like, you're talking about like the what they're calling the vaccines, like, no, these are flu shots, these are COVID shots, essentially. These are gonna
Yeah, this
help
is
us
this
to
is
like,
experimental gene therapy.
we're gonna create a potentially to create a something that's going to help weaken this virus to make it like, yeah, it's going to be more uh where it's going to create more of like, it's going to be more endemic, but it's also going to be less lethal. And well, I forget the guy's name. He was on Rogan. He was the guy that was the guy kind of behind the whole mRNA stuff.
Yeah, technology. Robert Malone.
Yeah, I kind of want to listen to that interview now, just because, my God, there was so much vitriol in the media based off of
Yeah.
that.
No, yeah, like they completely nuked like any clips of that, particularly when talking about, his theory of mass formation psychosis, which is hilarious because like immediately, the fact checkers came out like, oh, fact check, there's no such condition as mass formation psychosis. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
there is.
yeah, there is. It's like, yeah, just because you don't recognize the particular way in which he formulated the words to come up with the name doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Actually,
Because that's
funny.
because that's what it is. Like if you type in, I think prior, if you typed in mass formation psychosis, there was like little to no information that would pop up, except for like when if Google like pinged like some of the keywords like mass formation and psychosis, but not like together.
Yeah, it's funny. Based off of that um, idea, uh, Paul Joseph Watson he posted this picture today on Twitter. So this, I guess he was passing by this car that had they had put masks masks over the air conditioning vents
And
in the
oh
car.
god damn.
It's like, no, there's no mass formation psychosis at all. No,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
I mean,
fucking
yeah, just
ridiculous.
like yeah, like dude, all you have to is know that mass formation psychosis is a real thing. Is when you're driving around, note how many people alone in their cars are still wearing masks. That's it.
Oh yeah, I know. I was like, okay, that person's a crazy person. I don't want to be anywhere near them.
Hmm. Right? And he's likely a Democrat.
Yeah, I am forced to wear one at work, and I try to circumvent that at all times as much as possible. Uh, but like, yeah, there's people that's like, I am alone outside with no one anywhere like within 100 yards of me, but I'm gonna wear that fucking mask.
Yeah, no, exactly. Why? Why? And
Eh,
like, and it's yeah, it's really, it's really become again, they're only coming out and asking these questions now, and and asking the questions that we've been asking for 2 years now, because again, they're trying to hide something. What, I haven't figured that out yet, but it is partly because they're losing the narrative, because all these people, all these supposedly vaccinated people are getting sick, and it's no longer, and you can't hide it anymore. It's not like, oh, like, yeah, you have a case here and there, but more and more people are getting it, and then also people who got the shot, and they tested, or and they constantly have to get tested, and they're finding it, and so it's like, then what's the point of, they're gonna start people are gonna start, hopefully, I should say, hopefully they're gonna start put two and two together, and it's like, if I'm triple jab, why do I still test positive?
Yeah, I hope to God someday that we have a media that is not complete shit. I mean, I hope that the viewership of CNN and MSNBC and all these other just shit media channels are just eliminated. That they financially can't cope anymore, and they are gone. And we actually have like a good media that can actually do something that actually is
I
telling
mean, yeah, I
the
mean,
news.
that's what we're doing. I mean, we are the alternative to the media. Yes, we're small, but at least we're honest.
And the thing is, like Andy, when we don't know something, we say we don't know. I
Right,
mean,
exactly. We
there's a lot of
fully
things that
admit our ignorance on certain things, or if we don't have a full uh, understanding of something, we fully acknowledge that. It's like, oh, actually, I heard about a little bit of this, but I'm not too certain about it. I'm not, I'm not abreast to all of the details. Here's my initial opinion, or a commentary on it. About, once more information comes out, we'll elaborate. I mean, fuck, we just I mean, practical example, the Bob Saget thing. He recently died in a hotel by himself. You know, you know,
I'm saying
you know.
David Carradine all over again.
I mean, comedian. It's hard not to go to drug overdose. And then I said, oh, there's not enough information here. This is what I think. If I, and I even said, like, I hope that it's not the case that it's drugs, but that's just where I'm leaning towards, and, like, if information comes out to rebut that my initial opinion, then I will I will recant my statement. I'm like, I was wrong. He died peacefully in his sleep.
Yeah, it's like, who knows? Maybe he had a brain aneurysm. It happens. Like, there's
Yeah,
people that.
and those things are, like, hard to diagnose. It's
Yeah,
like the whole thing with the John Ritter thing.
yeah. I mean, he just, like, no one. He was healthy and he just died.
Yeah,
It was no one knew. So,
yeah.
but
There was no way to test for it. There was no way to diagnose that shit.
yeah. Um,
So yeah, like, yeah. I mean, so yeah, we are the alternative to the media, and and we will be straight shooters with y'all. If
we
we,
we are more truthful than CNN will be to you.
yeah. I mean, what is it? What's that Owen Benjamin axiom? It's like, we may be wrong, but we're not lying.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is that it's not that because Dinesh D'Souza talks about this too with, like, the media is like, even if they're like, even now, if they start telling the truth, like, they don't deserve, like, our belief. Like, they've lost their credibility. Like, it's done. And
Exactly.
obviously, when you and I look into the past and start digging deep, it's like, yeah, they've actually never been telling the truth. Like, I'm sorry, guys like Dan Rather or Brian Williams or Walter Cronkite, all these guys were, like, awful.
Yeah. I mean, even like the new guy that they got for the NBC nightly news. Yeah, he's a fucking piece of shit too. Because, like, during, like, the Trump campaign in 15 going into 16, they omitted shit. Like, they're like, oh, look at the small crowd size, for Trump's rallies, where, like, they have someone at the beginning, like, just as people are starting to enter. They have someone there and they do like a quick piece like, oh, despite his seeming popularity, look how look how sparse his crowd is. And they do like a quick cut of like, again, like a couple of hour like an hour or so before the rally, and only like a few people have gotten there, and they take a shot, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't think that's very popular.
Yeah.
And then you see like the clips on like Instagram, like from people who are there, or like people who are there, like, and then like who are like YouTubers, and they put it up on like their YouTube page, and you see like a packed like arena, and it's like, what?
Yeah, and there's like, well, and even like Joe Rogan, who, say what you will about the guy, I mean, he's no conservative right winger,
Right.
and but but he's also not a liberal shill at the same time. And honestly, like, had I been in his shoes, I would have sued the fuck out of CNN. But no, he didn't do that. He brought on Sanjay Gupta as like, dude, you were lying.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that like it's okay, that your
Right.
network lied? And
Exactly. And that was, I mean, no matter how, regardless of how long that interview went, that was that was the gold nugget in that entire interview with Sanjay Gupta. It's like don't you? Because he asked the question. It's like, do you feel that your news outlet, it's a problem for your news outlet to be telling lies?
exactly, and
It's like, boom, there it is. There's the question right there that you need to be focusing on.
Yeah. And it's just like, and he never let him like straight, because he did everything to try to get out from under that question.
Right.
And he finally succumbed to it. It's like, and good on Rogan. Like, he put that guy's feet to the fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, because they're. I mean, I know Joe's a big proponent of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but they were in a verbal Jiu-Jitsu match there. Because Sanjay Gupta, he was like trying to do all sorts of reversals and and obfuscations, and it's like, yeah, I feel like you're going really fast right now. I don't think I'm getting a sense of. It's like, no, motherfucker.
Yeah, we're talking about one goddamn thing. I'm not going in like all these different tangents. Just answer the question.
Yeah, you can see on Gupta's face that he was like, oh shit, It's like, even though he was there, it's like I don't know, I don't know who supervises Gupta, or or his management. It's like, how did his management and like CNN did not coordinate? It's like, yeah, we just slandered a guy, and and one of our personalities is gonna go onto his his territory, and like, hopefully that they must have been hoping, they must have been praying, like, oh, and I hope that he doesn't like hold his feet to the fire on the slander that we put out against him.
Yeah,
God, what a bunch of fucking morons.
Yeah, I mean, like, say what you will about Rogan, but like in that moment, like, that was like, he did more journalism there than anybody on CNN ever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, maybe next to Andy Cohen, who went on a drunken rant about how shitty Bill De Blasio was.
Dude, that was so great.
Yeah, I know.
You could see how uncomfortable Anderson Cooper
I know,
was.
and Anderson Cooper was trying to shut down that thing fast.
I thought Anderson Cooper was gonna shit his pants. It was great.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Oh man, he was so uncomfortable. It was the most beautiful thing I ever seen.
Oh, it was like Andy Cohen rammed his cock right up Anderson Cooper's ass without him knowing.
Yeah, not in that good way.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Not in the way that Anderson Cooper likes.
Yeah, but just you people though, I've said this time and time again. Yeah, the media is awful now, but let's be honest, it's been awful.
It's always been awful. It's always been awful. Long days. Even in the days of old Uncle Walt.
Yeah.
It was garbage.
But I think we are hopefully finally getting to a point where there is some there's never going to be objective journalism. That's just never going to happen. But
Of course not,
there
because
is,
even I mean, despite our objectivity, even we have our biases. But the important thing is that we are honest about our biases.
that's right, and but we're also having people that are on our side that are actually doing journalism. They're actually investigating stuff, and they're presenting the evidence that they find, almost like detectives.
Right.
And I mean, the stuff that Project Veritas is doing is those guys are doing some real fucking work.
Yeah, I mean, with like the whole recent disclosure of documents, military documents about Fauci and how deep his ties to EcoHealth and the Wuhan virology lab and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, if we keep doing that long enough, shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, again, it really all comes down to quote unquote our side, and keeping our foot on the necks of our enemies, because fucking Republicans, like they're too squish. They don't have the stomach to keep their foot on the necks of their enemies.
We've talked about this so many times.
Yes.
Where occasionally, I can count on one hand how many people from our side, as far as like that are in government that actually like stand for something and are constantly like pushing, in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, just recently you had Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz come out and Mr. Elder Statesman, Mr. Mr. Lawyer, Mr. I'm about words, and he goes and used the most inflammatory words to describe January 6th.
And I respect what Tucker Carlson did to him. It's like, dude.
Yeah, again, he did the Joe Rogan thing and held his feet to the fire.
And when I heard that, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's one thing to say like, hey, listen, like, what these guys did was like kind of dumb, because they were probably used by the FBI informants to to get it.
Yeah, what is it, Ray Epps? Like, yeah, we gotta go to the Capitol, and we gotta bust in there. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And like there's that video where like he was like saying like, yeah, we need to, like, in a shiny new MAGA hat, by the way. But yeah, he was like, saying like, I know this, I know this is probably gonna get me arrested, but we need to go into the Capitol, and everyone's like, no, Fed. And guess what? Prior to January 6th, he was on the FBI's like most wanted list, but then after January 7th, they took his name off.
Yeah,
kind of suspicious.
Yep, and that's where I'm like, Ted Cruz is like, yeah, what happened there was kind of dumb, but hey, why don't we talk about what happened like prior to that with like all the BLM riots and all the terrorists that were trying to burn down the country instead.
Yeah, let's talk about the peaceful protesters in Portland who were trying to burn down a federal building.
Exactly, but I was like, I was flabbergasted because I actually sort of kind of like Ted Cruz occasionally because he does say good things, but then there's other stuff that he does. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
That was because he wanted to be president.
Yeah,
that's what that was. That's him coming out and condemning the January 6th people who are still languishing in prison without formal charges, and being denied their due process,
and their rights.
Yeah, so, exactly.
And the fact is, like, based off of just that alone, I was like, well, I'm not gonna vote for you, dude. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, if Ted Cruz, like Ted Cruz is not an idiot. All right, I'll give him that much. he
very
does
smart
he
guy.
does he does idiotic things, but he's not an idiot, and
I would say he's not like he's
he
smart.
knows which way, or he should know which way the tide is turning in the Republican Party. It's turning towards MAGA. It's turning towards populism. It's turning to America first. And
Yeah,
and
and he
and
knows
he
that.
and he should have known, and he should know that better than anybody. But he went out and did the neocon thing, and like, oh yeah, these domestic terrorists. It's a stain on our democracy or whatever, blah blah bullshit. So like, I don't know, what he was thinking, but like he thought he was going to become president, but he didn't take into account that he just lost all support.
Yeah, I mean, after that, it's like, well, you lost my vote if you were gonna be like kind of like the main runner.
Yeah, if it were to come down to Ted Cruz, like I'm skipping that election.
Yeah,
Yeah, if by some chance, by some slim miracle that Ted Cruz became the nominee for the Republican Party, it's like I'm skipping that election.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm just
Fucking
like
clown.
I was absolutely stunned when he said that. I was like,
Fucking clown, dude. Fucking clown.
because he had also been talking about like how it's like it's wrong that these guys have been allowed to like languish in prison without any of their rights, and yet he comes out and says that too. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I mean, even like some of the people that did get charged, it wasn't for sedition or insurrection. It was for trespass.
Yeah, okay, fine. It's like
Yeah.
I
Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you want to be super technical, yeah, they did trespass.
okay, sure, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Like either give them like a slap on the wrist, a fine, or a month in prison.
Okay, great.
All right, and then be done with it. But no, they have them sitting in prison right now. Some of them like not charged. They're just again their rights being abused. They're just sitting there in prison indefinitely. Some of them in solitary confinement, like not even getting the time to go out into like the exercise yard.
Because guess what? The Patriot Act.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something that needs to go away.
Yeah, that needs to be go. That is like, I know there are a lot of things that need to be done in our country, but if if a representative would come forward and say like, hey, I think it's time to stop rubber stamping uh, the Patriot Act, because again, the Patriot Act is voted on every single year, in
Yep.
Congress, and every single year it is passed without even an objection, without even saying, hey, let's talk this over.
I think this is where we start a campaign and kind of flooding our representatives to not vote for that shit.
Yes.
I think we should start that this year, Andy.
Word. Yeah. Do you know who our representative is?
I don't know if our representative has changed. I think it was Sherman.
Oh yeah,
I don't
I
know.
hate that fucking guy. He came to my class one time in junior high.
Yeah, he sucks. He's been our representative for years, and I don't know what he does. But, it's like, but kind of like going back to like our local politics. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. Like, but we need to flood their offices with calls and with letter writing campaigns of some sort. And it's like we gotta stop this. And it like I said, it starts with us. It starts at the local level.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriot Act needs to go.
Absolutely.
So our shitty senators and our shitty congressmen, we need to flood their offices with calls and letters to stop voting for the Patriot Act.
Yeah, mine is because you are in. Yeah, it's The valley's carved up weird.
Yeah.
But mine, yeah, is Brad Sherman.
Yeah, mine's Brad Sherman too.
Okay. Okay. Because I was looking at this map and it looks like. Okay, so it does. Okay, yeah. Because I thought the border cut it through just uh, above the 101 freeway, but no, it would include you too. Include you too.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter where you. If you live in New York, if you live in Montana, if you live in Texas, if you live in Florida, I want you to flood your congressmen and your senators and whatever. And the Patriot Act is not a good thing. I initially, like, when I was younger, I was like, oh, the Patriot Act, that makes sense.
Right.
But that was
Well, yeah, because you don't think,
but I
because
was
you
an idiot.
never, because you never think that it's, you never think that it'll be used against you or American citizens. But
Yeah,
you
I mean,
gotta read the fine print. You gotta read the fine print.
yeah. And now, because they keep calling these people terrorists and insurrectionists, like, oh yeah, so they're gonna get treated just like, the jihadis from like Saudi Arabia or wherever.
Right.
And
In a weird way. In a weird way, though, it's in a bit of a dramatic irony. The Patriot Act is doing what it's supposed to do. It's going after patriots.
no, yeah. And so we need you flood your Congress people, your senators, with phone calls and letters. We're gonna end this thing. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but we're gonna put pressure on these people, and we need to end this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, today it's the people that, like, like the Buffalo Bill, or that went into the Capitol
Yeah,
building.
or
But
the
tomorrow,
MAGA Mima.
yeah, but tomorrow it's gonna be you,
Yeah.
because you said that, like, Dr. Fauci sucks.
Or yeah, you didn't uh, vote down ballot for enough Democrats.
Exactly.
And you guys think that we're being hyperbolic, but
It's not. It's
it's
not being
not.
hyperbolic.
It's not. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the 2 years that we've lived under. Look at the 2 years. Just like yeah, just masks. Like that's all it'll be. It'll just be masks. It's
Two
like, oh,
weeks.
now
So
it's like no, it's like yeah, now it's just masked indoors too. It's like, oh yeah, but yeah, that's as far as they'll go, right? Yeah, that's enough. It's like, well, vaccines. Like, oh yeah, okay, vaccines. But like vaccines are a good thing. It's like now you don't have a choice.
ridiculous.
You still think that I'm being hyperbolic?
Uh, I don't know how we'll generate like a lot of activity on that. Maybe we should talk with our good friend Eric, because
Yeah,
he seems to be
yeah.
more in the
He
know.
has some political connections.
Yeah, so I think we should talk to him about that. But yeah, I think we need to start something about, like, trying to end the Patriot Act, because this is really awful. And I'm so disappointed in the people that supposedly stand for, like, our beliefs that are not. I mean, they just buy into that stuff, and it's like this, when it's. I can't really do too much when guys like Ted Cruz are saying, like, "Oh, the worst insurrection in the country ever." It's like,
Yeah, the worst
no,
thing. Yeah, the worst thing since the Civil War. It's like, I mean, the war to help keep this country together. The war. I mean, now I'm not thinking that it was not such a good idea,
yeah,
but the war to end slavery. That's you're comparing.
only 600,000
I mean,
people.
in a negative light, you're casting January 6th as something bad like the Civil War.
600,000 people to one. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a comparison.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's like, and Nancy Pelosi, you see, when she was like giving her like speech or whatever in Congress, and she included the guy that was killed by the Nation of Islam dude, like 3 months after the January 6th.
Yeah.
It's like, are you fucking
well,
kidding me right now?
well, I mean, it's Skeletor. Of course, she's gonna, do whatever she needs
Yeah,
to
but
do.
it's ridiculous because like granted, she did acknowledge that it happened after January 6th, but still, she named.
But it's to a greater truth, Andy.
I know, it's to the greater truth. Like, she named all the officers that died. One because he died of a stroke like a couple days afterwards. Another like two or three died because of suicide. They offed themselves after January 6th, and then one who died because died of because he was stabbed. He was stabbed by a Nation of Islam. I mean, former or whatever, but like a Nation of Islam guy, and of course that story got swept under the rug because he was a black guy. But she said the same, like that officer's name in the same breath as those people the officers who supposedly died because it's the whole thing of like dying from COVID and with COVID. It's like these officers died. Did they die because of January 6th or they just happened to die?
Yeah, it's so fucking ridiculous, dude. I'm.
It's the game. It's the games they play, people. It's the games they play.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm. It's infuriating.
Absolutely, me too. And I'm pretty much done talking about this now because it'll only just get me worked up and.
I'm in a froth, but hey, you know what? We came away with it is that we are going to work to try to pressure our representatives to end the Patriot Act.
Yes.
Because that's the reason those people are in prison without any representation, anything that they're essentially they're having their rights violated.
Exactly. Yeah. American citizens. I mean, if you want to talk about foreigners or whatever, maybe that might be a conversation to have. But these are American these are American citizens.
And I'm not saying that there should be zero punishment because I think everything that happened there was kind of stupid, to be honest. Like, it wasn't gonna do anything. But at best, trespassing, maybe vandalism. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to if you want to talk about again broken out windows or whatever, but again, we don't know who exactly did that. Could it have been an agent provocateur? Maybe, but it happened, so someone has to be held accountable.
Yeah.
But again, proportionality. Okay, I'm not the worst. Okay, they want and they this conflation that they do. They conflation that they do is oh, this is an armed insurrection. How many? Then why aren't there more dead bodies?
There's one.
There's one dead body. There's one dead body. And three and four dubiously dead police officers, not killed, just dead.
Yeah.
If this was an armed insurrection, pretty sure the government would have been overthrown by now, and we wouldn't be having a problem. But the way they conflate it though is because they say oh well, they had bear spray or they had pepper spray. It's
oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's the conflation that they do. It's oh well, these people were armed with pepper spray. It's these people were armed with bear spray.
So nothing was there. Okay.
Yeah, nothing exactly. And there's and then they say oh well, there was this truck filled with guns. Yeah, it was filled with guns. None of the insurrectionists.
They were making makeshift gallows, and it was what? No, they weren't. Where are
was it a mobile gallows? Were they wheeling it around sticking people's heads, hanging people as they went?
Yeah, stupid. Was it Mr. Reagan had a great tweet, with Ted Cruz's thing. It's fuck you, Ted Cruz. Come on.
Short and sweet.
Because that was when I was well, what? Wait, what happened? And I watched the interview. I was yeah, fuck you, Ted Cruz. Come on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think Trump had it right Trump had it right all along. All right, Trump had it right all along. Lying Ted Cruz.
Yeah, it's like a guy that I usually sometimes agree with, and I was like, and then I watched this, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. You're usually pretty fucking sensible, and then you shout this shit. I'm like, oh god, our side is so stupid.
Trump was right. Lying Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Crooked Hillary. Little Marco. He was right. He was right about everything. He was right about all of them.
Lazy Jeb.
Lazy, like low energy Jeb.
Yeah, lower energy Jeb.
Like, please clap.
Jeb Bush has done like one good thing in his entire career, and that's where like he allowed like where like certain like autopsy photos would not be like allowed to be like released on certain in certain conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like because I was like a lot of the media was clamoring for Dale Earnhardt's autopsy photos, and so he put the kibosh on that. That's the only good thing he did in his fucking career.
This is Ted Cruz?
No, this was Jeb Bush.
Oh, Jeb Bush.
When he was the governor of Florida.
Mm. Yeah, but yeah, Trump was right about all of them.
I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, I am completely spent on that topic.
Let's get into something good. Although this is the movie we're gonna be talking about is so fucked up.
Yeah, this movie's fucked up. I mean, it'll be enjoyable to review, but the subject matter is dark as shit.
So it's a fucked up film.
It's a fucked up film.
Why don't I'm gonna? Sorry, I gotta take another bathroom break. So you do.
All right, that's fine. You go. Okay, you go first. I'll hit him with the synopsis, and then you come back and you talk for like the rest of the time, and I'll go use the bathroom. All right. Anyways, yeah, let me hit y'all with the synopsis here while Rob's relieving himself. After Dr. Bill Hartford's wife, Alice, admits to having sexual fantasies about a man she met, Bill becomes obsessed with having a sexual encounter. He discovers an underground sexual group and attends one of their meetings, and quickly discovers that he is in over his head. Yeah. That is tonight's movie, Eyes Wide Shut, starring Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, Sidney Pollack, a young Lily Sobieski, Alan Cumming. Who else? Who else I've noticed in this movie? No, wait, Cate Blanchett's in this movie? Okay. Okay, go for it.
So, if you need
let's tag out. Let's tag out.
Okay, I know. But yeah, you'll be listening, Andy. But I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the pre-production on the film. So obviously, this is Stanley Kubrick's last film. I think it still holds the record for longest production time. It was 400 days. It's still a Guinness Book of World Records record. And even the post-production took almost a year. So this movie was really, really took a long time to produce. And I know when Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were cast, Kubrick had asked them to not commit to any other films. And I was watching a interview with Tom Cruise about this, and obviously he had his own kind of production company, and he kept asking, like, Kubrick was like, listen, I don't care if it's a year or 2 years or whatever, can you just give me like a rough time frame, like when we're gonna be done? Is it gonna be 6 months? Is it gonna be a year? It's gonna be 2 years. I don't care. I'm committed to the film. I'm gonna be here. But I need to let my company know if, like, for them, they're working on trying to get scripts and actors and movies, done. I need to give them a time frame. And so it was a long, long production. And like I said, I think it still holds the record. It's based off of the book Tram Novelle, or in English, it's Dream Story by Arthur Schnitzler. And actually, Kubrick bought the rights to the book back in 1968, or in sometime in the 60s, because this was going to be the movie that he was going to do after 2001: A Space Odyssey. Actually, he and the book itself is it's set in Vienna, though the movie was adapted to be in kind of like late 90s New York City.
Right.
Uh, so, and it looks like it's filmed in New York City, right, Andy?
Yeah.
Guess what? It's not.
Okay.
It was constructed to look exactly like New York City at Pinewood Studios in England.
Okay.
And I had heard that the apartment that the Harfords lived in was actually Stanley Kubrick's house, but I've heard it's either at his house or constructed to look like his apartment or something like that. So there was some sort of connection to some place that Kubrick actually lived. And the other thing that happened in this movie, we have talked about Barry Lyndon. The same type of lighting was used in certain scenes in this movie where it was.
Yeah, I felt that. I particularly the party scene, like when Nicole Kidman's character is dancing with that guy, and it's like there's like all like these like string lights or Christmas lights around. It's all kind of like there's like a like incandescent glow, kind of similar to like candlelight. It felt very Barry Lyndonish.
Yeah, there was a lot of Barry Lyndon in this film. You want to know that? So Kubrick had been working on this screenplay since the 60s.
Wow.
Do you want to know? So initially, this was going to be a an erotic comedy. Do you want to know who was originally set to play in this movie? Woody Allen or Steve Martin?
Whoa. Okay.
That's a completely different film.
Yeah, I just like when you said Steve Martin, I was picturing '70s Steve Martin with like the arrow through his head.
Yes.
Just imagining like him at like the sex party, like with the arrow through his head.
If this is a comedy, like Doctor Strangelove was a comedy, this movie would be so weird.
Although I heard like he was actually trying to do it straight, but it just kind of turned into like an absurdist comedy.
Well, that's what happened with Doctor Strangelove. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah. It was. They were trying to write a very serious script, and they kept laughing during the writing process. Like, well, fuck, we're gonna turn this into a comedy.
I guess it was just the opposite process for this one. They were trying to make it a comedy, and like this should be played more straight.
Yeah. So now we get to the 90s, is like when this movie really started to get some get some momentum rolling. In the book, the main characters are Jewish. They're living in 19th century Austria. But Kubrick did not want to have his main characters being Jewish, not for like any anti-Semitic reasons or anything like that. It's just like he just didn't want it to be like he didn't want it to be exactly like the book.
Right.
And so he was looking for something like he wanted a Harrison Ford type like character, and that's where the last name Harford comes from, Harrison Ford.
Ah, okay.
And do you know who initially was looked at to play the Harfords?
Well, other than Steve Martin or Woody Allen.
Well, yeah. So even before Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, they were looking at Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger.
Okay. So he wanted an actually married couple.
I think so. I think he was really looking at a married couple.
Okay.
And actually, to be honest, I could totally see Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger in this.
I could definitely see King Basinger in this movie.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I think at that. Oh yeah, at the time though, I think I could see Alec Baldwin in this. 99.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it.
Um. But obviously, like they ended up settling on Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Because was it in yeah, there was a whole process like with them like being able to get the film. Uh, then you have the other like big main character in this is Victor Siegler, and like his wife really plays like a super small part in this.
Yeah.
Do you want to know who was initially scripted to play Victor Ziegler?
Do tell.
Harvey Keitel,
Huh.
who I could totally see in that role. And actually, not only was he initially like looked at for the role, he was casted and filmed initially, but because of the long production time, he ended up getting another project, and they ended up getting Sidney Pollack to play the role.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
yeah, and Sidney Pollack is he's kind of like more like a John Huston type. He's a director, he's an actor, and a movie that we talked a little bit about like last week, he was the director of 3 Days of Condor.
This Sidney Pollack they're talking about?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So I mean, because we talked a little bit about that with like Robert Redford, and that was one of the inspirations for Captain America: Winter Soldier was 3 Days of the Condor. So it's just kind of
Okay.
funny how it kind of connects.
Okay. All right. A little connection. Okay, you're making a little connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a little bit about like kind of like the pre-production, like some of like the potential initial ideas for casting or initial castings for this for the film. It still holds a record for fucking super long production time. um, and but let's get a little bit into the film. And
Mhm.
I kind of broke this up into like some of the major scenes of the film.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll start with the opening and like the initial Christmas party that we see at the very beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've actually heard it said that all the same people that are in that party are at the masquerade ball
Yeah.
sex party at the end towards the end of the film or towards the
The
climax of the
conclusion.
film.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that the similar to like a Batman thing where this is the Christmas party is actually their mask. This is
Right, 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 right. Yeah. Like
who they
yeah,
really are.
yeah, Batman. Bruce Wayne has become the mask of Batman.
Bingo. Yeah, exactly. Um, I I'm gonna ask you a question, Andy, about this because there is something where you know uh Bill and Alice Hartford, they
Mm-hmm.
are kind of at the party and like they're dancing and kind of like having a good time. It's like, and Alice asks him like, "Do you know anybody here?" It's like, "I don't know a soul." And it's like, why does Victor Ziegler always ask us to these fucking parties? It's like why do they ask us to this party all the time every year and when we don't know anybody? And so I'm gonna ask you, Andy, do you think it's because they were being groomed to be in part of this, society, the secret society?
That could very well be a theory. Yeah, that could be a possibility, I should say.
Okay.
Because yeah, because again, like they're the only ones who are being focused on, and then you
Right.
have, and then but then you have this scene where like they split them up, and they're both kind of tempted in their own ways, like Alice Hartford, with that I forget who the character's name is, but
His name is Sanders Savas. He's
okay, so
who
yeah,
I'm Hungarian.
right, right.
By
It's
the
one of
way,
yours. He's one of yours.
No, he's not Hungarian. The
I
actor
mean,
is
yeah, the
not.
actor is not Hungarian, but the character is supposedly
Sky
Hungarian.
Sky Dumont is a German Argentinian,
Huh.
but the character
But
is
yeah,
Hungarian.
but the character is one of yours.
Hungarian.
So yeah, so it's very strange that they get split up, and they're both like kind of approached by these, well, particularly for Nicole Kidman, this very kind of charming older gentleman who has like this crazy sexual energy.
Dude, that guy, I almost wanted to fuck the dude.
Right? That's what I'm saying. He had this kind of immense sexual energy, and he was very charming too.
Dude, he's super charming, right?
And then Tom Cruise's character, Bill Hartford, he gets double barrels and gets like two models,
God.
two young attractive models, and yeah, tasty slices all around. Um, and they slowly, they're both being seduced. They're both being seduced, kind of in the way that a woman would want to be seduced, and then also in a way a man would want to be seduced, and which is kind of being, the man is, led by the woman, but then but for Alice, she's being led by the man and being subtly being seduced, with
Yeah.
flattery and innuendo.
Well, the other thing too, because the thing is, like, the Harfords are very affluent. They're not hurting for money in any way.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say affluent, but yeah, they are well off because Bill's a doctor, and and because of his practice or whatever, the wife is able to. This is gonna sound demeaning, but whatever. But like, kind of fritter her way in like the art world because, she confessed to send your fancy pants that she worked at this art gallery in Soho, that went under. But it's like,
okay, that is a perfect lead into my next question, because I was just going to talk about that.
But yeah, so I'm not affluent, but definitely well off because they're not at the level of the Zieglers, obviously.
God, no. It's like those guys are fucking wealthy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's
okay,
yeah, but the
and it's like, and then like the Ziegler, like Victor Ziegler kind of has Bill kind of like as concierge doctor, as sorts, because like like the scene in like the bathroom, he's like Bill doesn't even like bat an eye. It's like, okay, and just, kind of goes into doctor mode, and he's not surprised at like Victor's
infidelities.
Yes, but I guess transgressions as well.
Yeah.
So so obviously they have this like pre-existing this is like their relationship, or like
this
how
is
like
the first time this happened.
Exactly. So yeah, it's like
okay.
Bill is not flat by this.
Yeah. Here's a question I have, because you just talked about how like Alice is she's talking to the Hungarian guy, that like, oh, I got fired from my art curator job, and my question is, because man, she gets super close to that dude. Like, I mean, they are.
Yeah, no, they're if they're not kissing, they ought to be.
They are on the verge of like they are gonna fuck. It's some right. If she had like kept going, that sex is gonna happen at that point. Right. I mean, come on, like you are as intimate as you can get with someone that's not your spouse. My thinking is, based off what we know later on in the movie, is Alice bored, or does she feel like unfulfilled, and that's why she's flirting so much with the dude?
Well, perhaps because this goes to the beginning of the movie during like kind of like there's them getting ready for like the party, and it might be nothing. It might be just kind of like the comfortability, the comfort that gets built up like through marriage. But it's just like Bill walks in on her like you know taking a tinkle, and it's kind of like they're just kind of carrying on with like kind of normal conversations. Like, oh, have you seen my wallet? It's like, oh yeah, on the night counter. Okay, da da da. And like he checks himself in the mirror, and then like Alice is taking a tinkle like right behind him, and it's almost like they're talking past like a little bit like talking past each other or not giving like full attention. So it's like it's not even a big thing that he walks in on her like as she's using the as she's relieving herself, and then she asks him, oh, how do I look? And it's like, oh, you look great, honey, as always. It's like you're not even looking at me. So perhaps there is a little bit of like a rut thing happening in their marriage.
My question is though, I don't think it's on Bill's side. I think it's on her side.
Perhaps yes, because because he is a doctor and he is the he's the it's safe to say that he's the sole provider of that household. So
Bingo,
it's not
yeah.
so it's not necessarily like because he's neglecting her, in the husbandly way. It's just that he's just very busy, and because of his practice, or he's able to afford her to a certain lifestyle, and like she's able to uh, you know kind of dabble within art, or but also she's probably very busy as well, being a mother, because they do have a child.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and like she might feel a little like underappreciated, or not feeling so desirable as a woman.
Yeah, and I think I don't think that like Bill is necessarily doing anything bad. I don't think he was like an unfaithful husband or anything like that. Like I actually think that he felt like, oh, we have a good marriage. We have a daughter that we both love, and yeah, I think that it's like I'm your husband. I'm faithful to you, and you're my wife, and you're faithful to me, and like I'm very happy with where we're at. I really think that that's where he is at. But
Yes,
her,
he is content. He is content with their marriage and their life. But yeah, I think Alice is not content to a degree, and that might be also visually cued in that she gets maybe not drunk but tipsy.
she is on the verge of just being fucked up.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know what that's like. I deal with
Okay.
that every once in a while with my own situation.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Your wife thinks she's heavyweight, but she's a
She
featherweight.
is not a heavyweight at
No.
all.
Yeah,
Uh,
she thinks she could keep up with the big dogs, but practically the smell of alcohol can get her.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about like something that the two women that Dr. Hartford is that Bill Hartford is talking to.
Hmm.
They, he is very obviously they are smoking. They
Hmm.
they look great, and they're very flirtatious with him,
Hmm.
and they're kind of like kind of have both of them are arm in arm with Dr.
Right.
Hartford,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Again, like yeah, they're leading him.
yeah,
They're
and that's
seducing
what
him. They're
question, where are we going? And here's where the thing that I've watched this movie a bunch of times now, but the thing that I noticed this time doing for getting ready for the review, one of the models talks about is like we're going to where the rainbow ends. Well,
okay.
there's a theme of rainbows in this film. Um,
Right.
Later on, we'll see that with the rainbow fashions, where Dr.
Yeah. The
Hartford gets his
costume shop that he goes to.
costume shop, and initially, like although it was never put into the movie, initially the password to get into the house was going to be Fidelio Rainbow. So that when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, they're right away in this very like first act of the movie, we're kind of being given a lot of information. Because where the rainbow ends is essentially the sex party house, the masquerade ball house. And that's kind of like where all the shit happens. Yeah, like I said, yeah, so I got that. But then before like there's anything that can happen with the two models, Bill is whisked away by by one of the, I don't know if it was like the servers or butlers or whatever of Victor Ziegler's, to come up, to the one of the bathrooms or whatever the fuck that room was that he was in. And the thing that kind of weirded me out a little bit this time watching it is, so the girl is passed out, like, naked and everything, and she apparently was overdosed. But Victor Ziegler was still kind of sort of naked at that time. It's like, and my question was, do you think that he was fucking her while she was passed out from like the drug overdose?
Huh.
It was really.
I didn't even think to consider that, but now that you mention it,
he sent someone to go like find Dr. Hartford, to have him come up and look at her, but he was still like, they were both still like, obviously she couldn't get dressed, but he was just starting to get dressed.
Right.
That's what led me to believe, it's like, dude, you were fucking her while she was like either wigged out on drugs, or you did something to her like Bill Cosby or something.
Huh. Well, what would make me say no, he wasn't, taking advantage of her, is that he did get naked. I mean, I know that it's his house and everything, but I couldn't imagine if he was like taking advantage of her, like he would get naked, especially like if he was like supposed to be the host, at a party at his own house.
I don't know what we just based on like what we know about this movie. Like, to me, anything goes. I mean, who knows? Like, well, apparently, like, we're told that she's the drug addict and stuff like that. Right. I don't know if that's 100% true.
Well, I mean, if she's part of the organization, then then maybe the whole drug story is suspect. But then again, if she is part of, I think it's more or less safe to say that she is part of the organization.
Yeah.
Then why would Ziegler even need to drug her?
True. But
unless it was like specifically, unless it was specifically because for recreation, and because she is a drug, she's a druggie.
Yeah, I mean there is that too, but and maybe it was just like one of those things, like because she is part of that organization and she's she's being trafficked, and this is really the only way that she can cope with like the trauma of all that. And in reality, the only person that ever in her life that has treated her with like respect was Dr. Hartford.
Okay.
Because that's going to come to play. That's going to come to play later in the movie.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I never really thought of like whether he like drugged her to take advantage of her, but again, I think it's pretty safe to say that she's part of the organization. And
oh yeah, no, 100%. We already, and we do. People who have watched this film, yeah, we know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess for right now, I'd say I'm not convinced. Um, I guess I would say that right now I'm not convinced that he took advantage of her.
Yeah, no, it was just a question I had.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I have it right, but I was just like, man, this is a weird scene right here.
Right. Yeah, and then for some reason I never like even thought to think about it. Just maybe just going on, just from what Tom Cruise's Bill Hartford experience with those two girls. I
Yeah.
it's I didn't even think that that she may not have been a willing participant.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm not. Yeah, but I don't think I have enough info to come down on either side.
Yeah. But that's pretty much what happened. That's those those events in like kind of that first scene, like with the party. That's kind of the end of that. Um, and then we get into what I call the bedroom scene, which is where we're with Bill and Alice,
Mhm.
and this is where we really get into their relationship.
Right.
Uh, First of all, just a little bit of like a thing about this. This particular scene, and this is where there's always an incident in every Kubrick film
Right.
where he's either really shitty to his actors or in some form or fashion. He's such a jerk, but he's so good. That's the thing, is like his films are so good. I'm like, but he's such a dick. This scene, they did it. I think there was well over 100 takes. I mean, I think it was like 150 takes just for this scene alone.
Wow.
And Cruz and Kidman were so exhausted,
Uh-huh.
and like the cut that we get in this, they were at their wits end. I mean, they were so exhausted, and you can see it in the shot. They are fucking tired.
Mm.
Um, and obviously this is where we get like Alice's. I kind of in this scene, I really know. I feel for Bill in this scene because I've totally been there, where you're something that happens and like for what not because we smoke pot or anything, but my wife and I we have the occasional like night where we have
Yeah, you have a
some beers.
nightcap.
Yeah, we have the nightcap and like things are going, we're having a good time, and then there comes a point like where there's a point like where my wife's having a good time, and then it's like there's that snap, and like
Yeah,
whatever.
at the drop of a hat, it just the energy flips over on and
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I've been I'm not that I personally experienced, but I've been there when your wife flips.
I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, it's like, why, you know
Which
I'm
is
not
partly one of
trying
the
to.
reasons why I don't want to drink with your wife.
Yeah, and it's like, why are you getting so upset over something that, like, we were having a good time, what's the problem? And I didn't say anything wrong. I'm complimenting you, like, and in this scene, like, Alice flips the fuck out, like, oh, so clearly, like, it's not that like it's just coming out of nowhere. This is a like something that she was holding on to, and because the inhibitions have been released, she's just fucking releasing it and kind of really showing her personality.
Mhm.
And I think Bill was completely blindsided. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I think he was completely blindsided by what Alice said. And to be honest, I think Alice is she's wrong. She's fucked up, saying what she said.
Mhm.
Um, because this is the thing that Bill ruminates on the rest of the film.
Right. Right. I mean, to the
And
point where, like, even though she admits that she didn't physically cheat on him, like, the idea was, like, in her head. And
yeah,
that, and she was ready to, she was ready to throw everything that they had, away for this one opportunity with this one guy.
Well, and that's the thing I was thinking of is like, was Alice kind of like projecting like what she either because she had been fantasizing about it, or like did she actually cheat on Bill at some point?
Mm.
I know she said she was just fantasizing about this one guy, but it's kind of it makes me wonder, like, when you flip out like that, it's like you're projecting something here. Like you're irrationally coming at like your spouse for something. It's like that he probably hasn't done. He's never cheated on you. Like he's not like a he's not it doesn't seem like a bad. We have no information to go off that he's like a bad dude.
Mhm.
Uh, but you are kind of like unloading on him.
Right. Yeah, that very well could be like why she goes like so hard on him. That because like she has this guilt because she actually did cheat on him.
Yeah,
maybe with that naval officer that weekend.
yeah. Um, the other thing I was thinking about too, I don't know, the movie I was thinking about, like from this scene, like this is like a really fucked up version of When Harry Met Sally, like where because Billy Crystal's character in that movie is always talking about, it's like, yeah, when guys are always kind of like when they're hanging out with girls, like they can't be friends because they're kind of always sort of like
Yeah, the
wanting to
sex.
fuck
Yeah,
you.
the sex always gets in the way.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It brought me a laugh. I was thinking about When Harry Met Sally in this scene.
Okay.
Um, But the other thing too is the other thing that made me laugh is because after this we start to see Bill's um his thoughts about like what his wife was fantasizing about. And I
Right.
thought, wouldn't it have been hilarious if it was actually still Tom Cruise, but it was his character from like Top Gun?
Yeah, Top Gun or A Few Good Men.
Yeah,
You can't handle my penis.
yeah. See, this is why we're friends, Andy.
Listen,
You thought the same thing. But this is
you
what
might say I complete you.
yeah, exactly. Another Tom Cruise movie, awesome.
There, you see, that's why we're friends because you got
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if we're ever gonna do that movie. I have a lot to say about it, but like not good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, probably me neither. But yeah, it doesn't. Like, I don't know like where exactly that movie fits
It'd be
in.
fun to shit on it.
Okay. Yeah. Like maybe we should pick some movies that we absolutely don't like despise, and we just like shit on them.
Oh, yeah, it's like all 1 stars or 0 stars.
Yeah.
Um.
Anyways.
Okay, so this scene, the bedroom scene, leads into what becomes I call Bill's adventure,
Mhm.
and I think that after this, like, because you can tell the anger in Bill's face. Like he is furious about like what Alice talked about.
Or
Um,
confesses to.
yeah, I mean it's like trust me, I completely understand what he's going through. Like it's just I would be infuriated by this. I would, and they probably would have ended up arguing for about like another 5 hours about this.
Yeah. If he
But
didn't get
then
that phone call.
if he didn't get the phone call and his work, duty calls, he has to go. Um, and this is where Bill, throughout this adventure, he never fully goes through with actually like cheating on his wife,
Right.
but he's definitely searching for that. Like, because I think he's like, you know what, fuck you, fuck fuck Alice, and she's either wanting to cheat on me or she's already done it. So you know what, I'll
Yeah. Fair.
all's fair
All's
at this
fair.
point. Um, and I think although initially, like because the he goes to visit his patient that dies,
Mhm.
and I don't think there's any like animosity. Like he's not like trying to do anything. but this is where everything starts. And what we're gonna see too in his adventure is later on in the movie he goes and revisits everything that all the areas of where he went on his adventure, and there's gonna be a switch in each one. And so initially he goes to see his patient was Lou Stevenson, who had died. Uh, from the dialogue, I assume he had like Alzheimer's and and probably a number of other illnesses. So his daughter calls Bill. His daughter's name is Marion, and they're talking about like her dad and everything, and she is distraught, and she declares her love for Bill, and she kisses him out of nowhere. It's like, what the fuck is happening? He's clearly like kind of like, no, I'm just, you don't know anything about me. You're getting married, and he's not interested at all. But I think that's kind of like the catalyst of like him going down his adventure as well. After that, he starts to kind of go on a walk, and he's still ruminating about like what Alice said. And this is also kind of like where obviously the book and the movie kind of collide in a sense. He, for whatever reason, he's these group of just frat boys, I guess.
Yeah.
There's like, oh, look at this switch hitter. They call him, and stuff like that. Well, in the book, because all the main characters are Jewish, that is the group that attacks the main character, who I'm blanking on the name of the main character in the book. It's like some like anti-Semitic fraternity or of some sort, who are like fuck Jews, and that's kind of like the premise of what happens there. I don't know what the reasoning is behind all that, but here, so they kind of like, it's kind of like more of an homage to the book because it doesn't really mean anything, and they just kind of like beat up on this guy because I don't know if they're drunk or whatever, and they just call him a fag. It's like but this also leads into like him meeting the prostitute Domino, and I think there is at this point through the film, there is the idea of the Venetian mask is very important in the film, and Domino apparently is a Venetian term for like mask or identity. I had to look that up again. I kind of I don't have that in my notes, but
All right, I'll do it for you.
yeah, the Domino is kind of propositioning him, and he kind of gives in. He's like, you know what, fuck it, let's see where this goes. And they actually have kind of a interesting interaction, and he's like, yeah, whatever you want. And once again, kind of like with the argument that he had with Alice, it's definitely going somewhere. They are about to have sex. It's gonna happen. And then he gets a phone call, Saved by the Bell, technically. And his wife's like, hey, is everything okay? Or are you gonna, it's like, and he lies to her, obviously, but and Domino asked him, it's like, was that Mrs. Bill Hartford or Mrs. Dr. Bill? And he's like, yeah. It's like, do you have to go? Do I have to go? Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
And we're gonna see this throughout the film too. Bill, whenever he's in like a really tough situation, when he's asked a question, he answers it with the same question. It's like, do I have to?
Yeah. In a way, he mirrors. He mirrors. Like, do I have like you have to go? It's like, do I have to go? Like, do I want the fries?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I never noticed that until this this movie. Until this like viewing of it, I was like, oh my god, he does that a lot.
The domino. The historical definition: a loose cloak worn with a mask for the upper part of the face at masquerades.
So that's essentially he also is a domino.
Yeah, and then also Italian from the personal name Domino from Latin Dominus, Lord, Master, or nickname with the same meaning.
Jesus, that's a lot of meaning there. That
Yeah,
name was not used for nothing.
yeah, that was intentional.
Um, so then obviously then he ends up leaving Domino. It's like kind of the unrequited rendezvous.
Or Domino is the Lord or Master. That is currently has Bill in his thrall, which is lust.
True. And here's the one thing about like Domino too. I don't think she does not have a pimp. She is her own.
Yeah, she's her own master.
Yeah, which I find very interesting.
Very interesting usage of words or names.
But then we go into we come to contact with a character named Nick Nightingale, who we met at the party, who was a former acquaintance of Bill in medical school, and obviously Nick had quit medical school and became a musician, and he goes to the club where that Nick Nightingale works at, or at least he's working at. And this is where the movie really turns, because this is where he finds out that like Nick Nightingale works at. He has another gig, and that he has been working at this gig quite a while, and he's given a password and a blindfold,
And
and he's
only like moments notice of when he's supposed to work.
Here's the question I have about that.
Okay.
Why the fuck is Nick Nightingale used by the society? Why?
Okay. Well, this is something that just came to me just now. Uh, I think it's they got him. I think they have him financially because, because he did go to medical school, and medical school is not cheap, and so and then he washed out, but he still had that debt, and so he also had the skill of being able to play the piano, and so they tapped and like, oh, we'll pay off your medical school debts, but you have to play piano for us.
Because he's always talking about. Like, he also talks about like how he has a family. He has like 4 kids, and like he has a family in Seattle. But so you think that like he's potentially being used based off of his debt and like what he kind of to take care of his family?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I was always kind of like, what hold do they have on this guy?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, then also that might have been initially, but then how he disclosed to Bill that one night that the blindfold that they usually have him wear wasn't on as tightly, so maybe that alone wasn't like him seeing what he saw was reason enough to continue on, even despite the money.
Which clearly was done on purpose. I mean, there's no way.
Probably, yeah. That also could be another way of like hooking him in. Cause like, man, this is like so bogus. I don't even get to see where I am or anything around me. This is bullshit. So like, maybe the organization senses this, and so like they don't tie the blindfold on as tightly as before, and he's able to see some of the girls, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And clearly he's enticed.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So that leads us into like obviously then Bill learns he needs to like he gets the password, he gets the address, but he needs to get a costume. He needs a mask and kind of a costume to even get into the party.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to a friend of a former patient of his that works at a place called Rainbow Fashions. Here we go. Here's the rainbow aspect of the movie again. And he learns that his former patient no longer lives or owns the fashion place, but it's a guy named Millage. The guy, and here's the thing: the guy that plays Millage, you probably did you
I
watch
recognize
24?
it.
Did you watch 24 before?
No, but I do recognize the actor.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's
Yeah.
been in various shows, various
Yeah,
movies.
usually playing like a drunken Russian or an evil Russian or some sort
In,
of
in
some
Batman
sort
Begins,
of Eastern European bad guy.
in Batman Begins, he was a homeless person.
That's right.
But yeah, he we're introduced to Milich. He is clearly obviously like money can entice this dude.
Yes.
We get that obviously because Bill kind of is like, hey, listen, I'll give you $200 plus the rental.
Mm-hmm.
All right, come in. So money is something that
it's a motivating factor for him.
Exactly. So you have and then we as Milich is trying to ask some questions, like it's like what type of costume are you looking for, all that stuff. He hears a thud. It's like, did you hear that? And Bill's like, yeah, I heard something. And he looks over. It's like, what's all this shit here? And he breaks into the room, and he hears someone sneeze, and he's like, oh shit, there's a guy in here. And then he sees like his supposed daughter. To be honest, I'm not convinced that's his daughter.
Right, because of the way that he like acts towards her, it's like it doesn't seem like a fatherly kind of protective energy. Because if I found my daughter with in her underwear with two men, like I'm telling her to go to her room, and then I'm killing those two guys.
Oh yeah, they're dead. And that's where it's like, what, even like, because they plead with him. It's like they know him by name. These people know each other.
Right. Yeah. They have an association.
And that whole scene, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so, but he's like, oh, I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna, it's like, and clearly, Bill is freaked out too. And I don't know if you caught this, but like because I know a lot of people question like, what exactly is the girl whispering into Bill's ear? It was something about like
I turned on the subtitles and it said pick the cloak with the God, what am I spacing? Is that time of the night? But some sort of embroidery or embellishment on the
like
cloak.
fur of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you saw the same thing I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And then we're off to the masquerade party finally.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said early on in the review, like the Venetian masks are used in this party, which are a symbol of sex and debauchery.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where things obviously go really, really weird.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I ask, we're introduced to, we start to see like a lot of different things. One of the questions I have for you, as far as the party goes, who's Red Cloak? Who do you think Red Cloak is? Or do you think that we don't know the character?
Well, seeing as he is like the big, high, muckety muck running the show at the party, he obviously has to be someone that we know.
So
But
my theory was now
but
a
I
lot
don't.
of
But okay. But here's who I think he's not, and for sure he's not Ziggler.
okay, yeah, I agree with you on that because a lot of people think that it's Victor Ziegler because of the scene that we get with him and Bill later on, and like the way that he moves the cue ball, and
Hmm.
like kind of like he does all like kind of like the same motions as
Hmm.
Red Cloak.
Hmm.
But no, I disagree. He's not. That's not Red Cloak. I actually think, personally, my
Hmm.
initial thought was that it was the Hungarian that was trying to hit on Alice.
Hmm. Hmm. I don't think so.
But I don't
Or at
think
least I'm not.
that's.
At least I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I don't have enough evidence for that, but like that was my initial thought.
Right.
But I'm kind of starting to think like, no, I don't think that's right either. The person that I think Victor Ziegler is though is the guy that's up in the balcony that Bill puts his
Right. The
eyes
one
on.
like the one with like the pointy chin mask guy.
Yeah, that's Ziegler, and the person next to him is his wife.
Yeah, Mrs. Ziegler.
Yeah. Uh,
Dude,
the other
plot
thing,
twist. What if Red Cloak is Nick Nightingale?
we saw Nick Nightingale.
Yeah, we see him playing like the piano stuff, but not during like the ceremony.
Yeah, we do.
We do,
Yeah.
but like no. Well, maybe I have to go back and okay. But
You have
that's just like more of like just more of like a plot twist kind of like oh my god kind of thing. But maybe would it? But another like what if it wouldn't it be weird? But if it was Alan Cummings' character,
now we're talking. That might be something.
the
But no, Nick Nightingale. We see him playing the piano while that ceremony is going on.
Okay. Well, yeah, I have to go back and look it because I know I can vaguely remember like the piano sound, but I don't necessarily remember seeing Red Cloak and him in the same at the same time. I'd have to go back, but I'll take your word
Uh,
for it at the time.
yeah. And the other thing I asked, like, what the fuck is this weird ceremony? Like, what is this? Because you have Red Cloak that is using like the smells and bells like
Yeah, the
like Catholic.
incense. Yeah, the incense, kind of like a Catholic ceremony. Yeah.
But this is fucking weird.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, what is the symbolism behind this? Because maybe because I'm not a fucking creep, and so I don't know what this weird sex cult does.
right. I mean, yeah, it's probably because we probably haven't delved deep enough into like secret societies and rituals and things like that. So we might not have the visual language to decipher or the knowledge to decipher the visual language of like the movements of and like the iconography of the ceremony. But obviously, Red Cloak, he's the leader. He's the one. He's kind of like the pope or the priest in this
Yeah,
scenario. Kind of like blessing and or sanctifying with the incense.
sanctifying the whores.
Yeah, sanctifying the whores. And of course, like the staff is kind of like the conductor's baton. And every pounding of his staff is a cue to for the for the ceremony.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why people think that it was Victor Siegler was Red Cloak because he's doing it with the cue ball. He's doing the same, like
Yeah, with the
motion.
hockey cue. Yeah, like yeah. No, again, not enough information for me to come down on that theory.
And I don't agree with the consensus on that, but I'm just saying
Right.
that's what people think.
Right. No. Yeah. No. But I definitely think he's pointy chin from the party.
Oh yeah, that was my thinking too.
Yeah. The one who sends the girl over to Tom Cruise before she's intercepted by the
Yeah.
Mandy girl.
Yeah. Now, see the girl that is sent to him by the pointy mask.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the models.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Um. So here's the other thing too. So the Mandy,
Hmm.
she had a hard time. This goes back to the filmmaking. This is where Kate Blanchett comes in. So the actress that plays Mandy,
Hmm.
she had a hard time, having an American accent. They dubbed her voice in with Kate Blanchett.
Ah,
That was revealed, um, actually very recently.
really?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Cause I what? No. Wait, she had a hard time doing an
I don't know.
American accent?
So I don't know if it was because of like the mask that they were wearing and they had to dub in her voice, or if it was just like she had a hard time like with her
Well,
with
okay,
coming up with like
maybe,
a
yeah, maybe it's more of like the mask muffled her voice because it's according to IMDb, she was born in Los Angeles. She's an American.
okay. So then it must have been the fact it was something to do with the mask and they couldn't quite get the audio right. So
Hmm.
they and this is well after I think this is after Kubrick died. So they dubbed in Kate Blanchett's voice.
Hmm.
And so or something along those lines. There was something that happened, and so Kate Blanchett is not in the movie, but her voice is.
Okay. Yeah, because I was looking through the cast and it's like Kate Blanchett. It's like what?
Yeah, I was surprised by that too, and it wasn't revealed until just like 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm.
Um, Here's another thing I'm gonna ask you too. So obviously, like Bill sees like what's going on. He travels throughout the mansion, which I've heard that mansion that they were in was like like one of the Rothschild mansions.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not, but Bill obviously is found out to be
Yeah,
fraudulent.
an
They
interloper. Yeah, he's in. Yeah, Bill. Was found out to be an interloper.
and my question is, what do you think would have happened to him had he not been redeemed?
I mean, if we were to take the word of Victor Ziegler, then they
Which I don't. He's a fucking liar.
right. Yeah, of course he's a fucking liar. But if we are to take the word of Victor Ziegler, then after he would take off his clothes. They probably if Victor Ziegler is to be believed, they probably put a hood over his head and then drop him off in the woods somewhere.
I think he was gonna get raped.
That's more likely, yes. But yeah, but I'm just saying if Victor is to be believed, let's take Victor's word for it, and like everything that happened was coincidence and happenstance, or completely innocent. Like putting Nick Nightingale on a flight back to Seattle to his family, or Mandy. Mandy was a washed up beauty queen who had who had who had a really bad sinus congestion. Um,
Yeah.
um, then all they would have done is after Bill took off his clothes, they would have hooded him and then dropped him off in the woods. If Victor's to be believed, but yeah, if it's more likely that Victor is not to be believed, then either yes, like you said, like he probably would have been ass raped, or they would have put a bullet in him.
What does Andy think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Probably one of the more darker options.
Yeah, I think he would have been raped and killed.
Hmm. Or maybe even like kind of combo. He would have been raped in the ass. He would have been threatened to be killed, and then he would likely have had to have turned over his daughter to them.
Yo.
Yes. How fucking dark
Well,
is that?
that would explain some of the ending of the film.
How fucking dark is that?
All right. Well.
Yes, I went there, and I'm kind of upset that I did go there.
Yeah. Well, anyways, okay. So here's where we.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Like,
Okay.
I mean, maybe you're gonna bring this up, but what do you think about Alice's like dream?
That's a thing I've been really thinking about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I am still trying to figure out, was this something where she was either this actually happened,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of rumors that she's actually part of this society as well,
Right.
and that like this actually happened,
Right. Like
or
she like yeah she was like a Mandy, but like she was able to somehow get out of it. But not like fully, because like that's why she's still like within the orbit of like the Zieglers.
yeah, I mean there's that, or she kind of sort of knows about like what's going on and she wants to be a part of it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Which would explain like her malaise, or or kind of like over flirtatiousness, or reciprocating the over flirtatious advances of the Hungarian guy.
yeah, or either that, or like I said, she is super vulnerable for whatever, for various reasons. Like, she's unsatisfied as a mom and like
Mm.
unsatisfied with her life. And yeah, she's obviously like, she is want for nothing, to be honest. Like,
Right.
she
Yeah.
doesn't, money is not an issue at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so, the intrigue of, essentially a very rich swingers party, which is kind of like what she's like, oh yeah, I'm totally into this. And I think like, kind of, I think the incident with the Hungarian, uh, and kind of like, she allowed her mind to drift, and she reminded herself of like that time of, meeting that naval officer and all that. Like, it made her think like, oh, I can be like, it made her think about this stuff, and like, oh yeah, I kind of like want to explore other men and stuff like that, and maybe that was part of like her dreams.
Mm. Okay.
So it could be a number of different things. I'm not sure. I really not.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I was just curious about what your thoughts on like what
I'm
her
still
dreams
like,
was.
that's one of the questions I still have about the movie. Is like, what's up with that dream? Because clearly, like, when he comes back home after all the events, that's still in her mind, clearly.
Right. Yeah, and I mean maybe like yeah, 'cause she was like so wound up from like her flirtations with him. That's why they had sex after the party.
Yeah, you're right. Plus, the
Right.
song that's used like makes so much sense in that
Yeah, like
too.
I did a bad thing by was it Chris Isaac?
Yeah, great song, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, but then it's like, well, maybe then it's like that insecurity within her, because like 'cause she saw him with the two models or whatever, and it's like, oh, like are you, like, and that got into her head. It's like, oh, did you only fuck me because you're so turned on because of those models?
I
Even though she could have been turned on because of the flirtation that she had with the Hungarian guy.
That's the thing I was see. That's the other thing I was thinking about too, because this movie also has another thing to it. It's the idea of like, marriage and what is cheating.
Mm.
And what turns on like a married couple,
Right.
they've been married for a while, and yeah, he's not having sex with those models because he loves his wife,
Mm.
but who knows how long it's been since they've had sex.
Mm.
It could have been a few months, who knows.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that definitely can like mess with your head a little bit if you're kind of like we haven't had sex in like several months, and we're kind of in this rut, like and your mind starts to wander.
I was just thinking of that Simpsons episode, where Homer goes to space.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like there's like showing all these examples of like what's what type of male is like popular in America. And one of them is married with children. It's like it's like let's have sex. It's like no pig.
But yeah, I think that's a great question. I haven't quite figured out that answer. I don't know if I ever will.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's definitely a question I had myself, Andy.
Mm. Well, good to know that we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing, like where because after the events of the party, the masquerade
Mm-hmm.
ball, he gets redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
But the events of that night bother him. Clearly,
Right.
they bother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is where an article I read brought up an interesting point that I was like, oh my god, I didn't see this before. Because he
Mm-hmm.
retraces his steps, not necessarily in order, but everything that he revisits is flipped around and twisted in a way.
Right. Yeah, that's true because he just what I mean, I'm not gonna go like directly, but like yeah, he goes, he finds about Mandy and like she's dead, and then he goes to the hooker and like she has AIDS,
Right. Okay.
and
You've
then
got two of my points already.
yeah, and
Um,
then yeah,
it
then
actually,
he hits back to the or then yeah, and then he goes to try to go see Nick, but Nick is abruptly checked out of the hotel that he was staying at,
probably dead.
probably dead, likely dead, and then he goes to return the costume.
Well, here I'm going to start off with one that like is not that you did not mention. Because he calls Marion again,
That's right. Oh
and
yeah,
who answers the phone?
yeah.
Carl.
Carl, the boyfriend fiance guy.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to talk to her. It's like, yeah, because there's clearly like, oh, maybe Carl knows about what happened.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, that was like the first one. I was
Huh.
like, oh, I did not notice that before. That
It and interestingly enough, uh, well, maybe not with the Mandy thing, but each subsequent like the start of Bill's Wild Night is a slow erosion of his on the willpower or integrity because
oh yeah,
first you had Marion who like professed like she would have like sucked his dick right then and there,
oh
like
they
right
would
with
have fought.
yeah
Yeah,
right in the same room as with the body of her father. She would have
yeah,
gone, yeah, she would have sucked his dick. But then he's able to abstain. And
yep.
then he goes for that walk, and then he comes upon the hooker, and he's gonna do it, but
Life call.
but then he again he abstains. But then but then he goes and sees his buddy Nick, and Nick tells him this fantastical story of secret rituals and beautiful women, and so it's like, oh, if I'm gonna do it, if I'm gonna cheat on my wife, I'm gonna do it big. And so he goes
Do you
uh,
do you think had he not been caught that he would have gone through with like kind of fucking one of those girls?
at the mansion.
Yeah.
if he was able to stay under the radar, then yeah, I'd say he would.
Because I like I said, I think that he, initially was being groomed. Like he wasn't
Mhm.
ready to be part of that society just yet,
Mhm.
but he was definitely being groomed for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, just being in the orbit of these people, and I mean, and I think the previous owner of the costumes store, he was in on it too. Like I'm sure, like he was part of the he was the one that probably um, provided the costumes for the members.
Oh, even like the previous owner.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit! I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because like how did I mean, yeah, it's the new guy Mellish, but how did he have the exact things that he would need to get into the party?
Oh Jesus! Yeah, I didn't think of that.
And also, him like having like this side thing like with his supposed daughter. Um, so yeah, I mean, like whether or not like his patient like actually did like move away, and but like how is it like this Milich guy, comes to inherit the business unless he was like already pre-qualified
Jeez, I didn't.
by the society.
Well, and because that's the yeah, that's the thing that I was like, there's so many people that are in his purview that are in the life of Dr. Hartford that it's like
Mm.
they are involved in some way or as form or fashion that he just happens to stumble upon these people that they're all involved in this shit.
Yeah, I mean, you have like Ziegler and then Nick Nightingale, and then I mean even Mandy, um,
Yeah.
and then like this Mellish guy. Yeah, it's all a little bit like too convenient. And yeah, and I definitely do think like him and Alice were being like groomed to because I don't think it's like highlighted, but there are dudes
Yep.
that act kind of in the similar way as the women in the initial ritual. So I don't
Yep.
know, like maybe like yeah, they were being groomed to be a part of like the ceremony or be like the playthings, um, because just because of the status in the relationship that he has um, in the quote unquote real world. Because even though like Bill is a part of Ziegler's world, he's not his equal. He's still kind of like an errand boy, and he comes when he's called, and he does he does like these favors for him. So Bill is not yeah. So Bill is definitely not like I guess what we can call like an elite. At least not yet. Um, so it's not quite. I'm not quite convinced that thinking that like he would have been like one of like the attendees. Uh, he might have been more of like a plaything. But that's just my opinion.
Leads me up to like the some of the final questions I have about the movie because we talked about like how all the situations like as he relives the adventure, obviously like Domino's turns out like her roommate reveals she was HIV positive, so
Mm.
thank and literally like the paper that he from the New York Post that the headline reads like you know say his life was saved or something about like like
Yeah, I noticed like not like the article about Mandy, but just like in another article, like in the upper part of it, it's like, oh, salvation or something.
yeah, somebody was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I mean that's totally exactly what happened right there for
Mm.
Bill." Um, but the last major, the last major part of this was uh him talking with Victor,
Mm.
and we find out that Victor is a part of this society, and you kind of sort of answered the question, one of the questions already. Like, do you believe anything Victor said?
No,
I don't believe him for a fucking.
yeah, I'll say this, like, there isn't enough information to dis to disprove what Victor said, but doesn't, but there's not enough information where that we can believe what he says.
Yeah, I don't believe him for a second.
Okay.
And then the other thing I have is who placed the mask on Bill's pillow?
Mm. That's a very good question. Very good question. I mean, if we were to, like, maybe that guy who was following him on the street.
Oh, I've also heard that like Alice, put the mask on his pillow.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I always felt it was somebody like in that group because they clearly know they've been following him, they've been watching him in
Mm.
some form or fashion. So it makes more sense that it's somebody from the society.
Mm.
But I was like, oh, Alice might know something about like yeah he
I
know
mean, unless Alice found the bag of the costume, he put away in his office,
yeah.
and kind of, and I don't know, but then she was asleep, and if she wanted to confront him about it, why was she
But
asleep?
see, here's the thing. Here's where I think like that theory also does kind of make sense in a way, is because when he does come in, he wakes her up from her. She's still like kind of like having that weird like laughing. She's laughing in like her nightmare, and so she does wake up.
Oh, no! That was the mask only appears after he goes on his, like, repeat tour. And it's late at night, and then, like, he comes in, and then she's sleeping, and then the mask is lying on the pillow next where he would be sleeping.
That's why I'm like, so she could have put it there still, and like she just slept soundly, and just kind of maybe she knows more than we realize.
No, well, again, in the context of the story, it doesn't make sense because, like, he breaks down and starts crying and says, "I'll tell you everything," and by the way that, like, she's reacted to, like, because we see her, like, smoking a cigarette, and and not, like, over.
She has been crying.
Yeah, but then, like, she's like hearing this, like, it's like this is new information to her.
Okay, all right. Yeah, like I said, I didn't necessarily buy into that theory so much.
Mhm.
So I do think it's actually somebody from the society that broke
Right? Yeah,
into.
yeah. I don't believe it was Alice.
Okay.
Because,
Um,
yeah, because again, just because of, like, their supposed conversation that happens afterwards, like, she is reacting like this is new information to her as well. So if she did know everything about, like, the night that he had or whatever, then, like, why wouldn't she just come out and say, like, hey, we need to talk about some stuff, as
yeah.
opposed to, like, her, like, lying there with the mask there, like, supposedly, like she was, like, waiting. If she was, like, waiting for him, I think, like, the magnitude of what like they need to talk about, like, would merit her, like, having a cup of coffee to wait for him. But she was knocked out on the bed, and I don't think she was aware that the mask was there. Um, so yeah, I think, yeah, like, I think it's someone from the society.
And lastly, what do you think of the ending?
Hmm. I'm gonna be honest. I did not enjoy the ending.
Well, here's where.
I mean, yeah, and again, like I know, like we can go into like, oh, there's like the a scene cut, or we still don't have like 30 minutes of like the movie that Kubrick wanted to release,
And
and that's fair, but I'm of the stance where we can only review what was given, you know.
okay, and
So like any extra non like canonical material is not helpful at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could speculate like crazy, and I could speculate with the best of them, but I can't give an opinion on something that I didn't see or like that wasn't included.
yeah, Andy, you and I are on the same page. There is a rumored, like I think it's somewhere like between like 5 and 25 minutes that have or supposedly not in the film because of because Kubrick he always had final cut of his films,
Mm,
and obviously like he died before like obviously the movie was released.
mm,
And so there's rumors that there was stuff that was cut out because the what he's talking about is kind of like I said, this is shit that's happening today. Like if you
yeah,
don't think that this is
and
happening,
it hits a little too close to home.
yeah.
For
And
especially for maybe some of the executives at the studio.
yeah. And there there does feel like there's missing footage. It just doesn't the way that it ends just doesn't feel complete. Like and if it's like up to like 25 to 30 minutes that are missing, that's an act.
Right.
That's a lot
Yeah,
of footage.
but just at the ending where Nicole Kidman character is like, oh, there's still something we have to do. And it's like, what? And it's like, fuck. It's like, what? It's
Well, I hear
that just sounds so like terse, and like I don't know, for some reason it doesn't sound very like Kubrick.
based off of like what we have, I'm gonna say this: the way that I see the ending is because there are the based off the dialogue. Because I think Alice is a lot like Bill. They're not part of the society,
Mm.
but they are they are around it and influenced by it and fund in a way they're funded by it. A lot of their customers,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's
a
a
lot of the
lot
patients of Bill.
of students are part of this society,
Mm.
and so he kind of has to play along to get along to kind of like keep things going.
Mm.
And the thing that kind of like that we kind of like sort of see in the background of the ending is their daughter is near a couple of the guys from the society, some of the guards, or at least somebody that guys that look like they're part of that from the society. Like we kind of sort of recognize their faces or at least their body, and so we don't know exactly what happened per se, but I think of them as like, listen, you didn't get killed. Our family is okay. You still have your job and your revenue. Let's just go back to like let's live our lives.
All right,
Let's
let's call
just
it a wash.
yeah, let's forget about all this stuff, all the infidelity, all the craziness, and let's just go back to like focusing on us. And
Okay.
where we have and that goes back to the idea of the title of the movie, Eyes Wide Shut. Like let's just let's just close our eyes, let's forget about all this, and we know what's going on, but we're not going to pay attention to it.
Right.
And I think that's kind of like the ending of the film. It's just because there in a lot of ways, Bill does kind of have his eyes closed to everything because he's so surrounded by all of it, but at the
Right.
same time, he doesn't act, or he kind of sort of does act in a way, but then like when he's challenged, he is kind of like, oh God, no, I don't want to press any further.
Hmm. Yeah. Even still,
And
I didn't enjoy the ending of this movie.
no, the ending is not pleasant at all.
No, I mean just like the last scene, I just didn't enjoy at all.
No, I didn't either. I don't like the way it ended, but the rest of the movie I thought was fucking fantastic because there's a lot to explore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a very dense movie, and um, yeah, like you again, like this is probably an episode, you know, just on its own, or or like a series of episodes where we have to like tackle like each scene and each like each little word that is used, and and
Absolutely.
and analyze like each like every like single like move, like, oh, why did they move their hand like this, and that it's
I
one of
didn't.
those type of movies.
I also didn't
um,
get to the point like where red is such a dominant color in this film.
mhm.
Everything is red.
Yeah, I mean, red is one of those
Red,
colors with a lot of symbolism.
yeah, red is everywhere in this film.
Mhm. Yeah, it's in the carpet. It's in it's in the curtain. It's in the guy in the robe.
The New York Post,
The New York
everything. It's like,
Post. I mean, Mandy herself, she's a redhead.
yep,
Um, I mean, Nicole Kidman's a redhead.
that's true.
Yeah, red is a big color in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, no, that's all I got. Um, I fucking love this movie. It's so dense. It's so. I'll be honest. I was scared shitless when I first watched this film.
Hmm.
It really freaked me out. It's
Yeah,
so.
there's definitely an unnerving kind of quality to this movie. I mean, just based off of like some of like the subject matter and kind of like what it's implying, or sometimes even explicitly saying.
Can't help but think about like Jeffrey Epstein and the Lolita Express and all that shit that's going on.
Right. Mhm. Absolutely. Well, if you don't have anything else to say, then yeah, let's give our ratings and wrap this bitch up.
I gotta go with 5 stars on this. It's my number 3 all-time favorite film. A lot of people shit on me because I really like this movie. It's so deep, so it's not like a movie like in the similar vein of like Wind River. It's not like, yeah, I gotta watch Eyes Wide Shut every week. It's just like it's not like a movie that I'm gonna revisit like
Mhm.
every few weeks. But at the same time, it's so important. It's such a good film, and it says a lot. And this movie, just kind of like Captain America: Winter Soldier, super relevant to today. Like, how can you not when you look at this, like how can you not see like what's happening in the news right now? Like, I mean, we're
Mhm.
having court cases, and not only like the Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein shit, but like there was the whole thing with in Hollywood that what's that chick from like Smallville that was involved in that weird sex cult thing where she was
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Allison Mack, I think.
Yeah. That's right. Thank you
Like,
for the name.
yeah, yeah, being part of like that, like, yeah, that's weird sex cult. And it was funny because like Kristen Krug was the one that like brought her into it. I think in a fucked up way, I think Kristen Crook set up Allison Mack to take the fall because I think Allison Mack was her Kristen Crook's way of getting out of that organization.
That's what's really fucked up about it. But the thing is, like, the fact that like people are like, oh no, this is I think when this came out in like '99, and people are looking at it like, what the fuck is this? But
Mm.
you look at this in like 2022, and it's like, oh my god,
I
this
know,
is
yeah, and then it makes you start wondering, like, like what were the circumstances of Kubrick's death again?
exactly because he was not in bad health.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's always been kind of a corpulent person, but I don't like. I don't ever remember like seeing photos of him where he looked like he was about to die. And I mean, yeah, granted he was like kind of an older dude, but yeah, again, like
Not bad.
he wasn't like super fat I don't remember hearing about him having like a lot of like health issues.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I think he stepped on somebody's toes a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. You might be a little disappointed with me. Um, but I'm gonna give this one a 3.5.
You know what, Andy? I'm not mad at you in any way. I am the minority on this. I understand that. I
Yeah.
think
I
this.
mean, and again, like if Kubrick had lived and we were able to get his complete vision, then I might be right there with you. And I'm not saying that like the meaning or like the message that it kind of like the relevant messaging in it like to today or even to back then like because it was happening back then too. But like the messaging in it isn't a good thing. It's just I didn't enjoy this movie as much as I was hoping I would, or as much as I remembered enjoying. When I watched this as a very young man.
Yeah.
When
Well,
when I let symbolism and meaning just like go straight over my head, in the place of boobies. Yeah, I just didn't enjoy this movie. I mean, not to say like they weren't great. Like the stuff that we talked about, all great. You know, I'm with you. I could pick this movie apart all day, but I just didn't enjoy watching this. I just didn't enjoy the movie.
like I said, I understand. I'm in the minority. I think that this is Kubrick's greatest film. I think it's
Mhm.
amazing, but I understand that like there are things that people don't like about this film, and it's like, oh yeah, it's people would rather watch like 2001 or The Shining or whatever. It's
Right. Yeah, and I mean,
I
and again, I'm not knocking Kubrick because like it's more, it's I feel the hand of the studio in this movie, and again, like that might go to like the missing like 5 to 30 minutes, of Kubrick's original vision, but I mean, but what we got and like because I can definitely tell like I can definitely feel the studio interference. I have to give it a 3.5.
Yeah. Okay. No, I do not denigrate you whatsoever. I think that's a very fair assessment of the film. But like I said, this just happens to be my number three all-time favorite film. It scared the shit out of me when I first watched it. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I mean,
This,
especially in light of what revelations we're getting nowadays. Yeah, it's fucking scary as hell.
yeah. Well, I mean, the reason I ended up watching it for the very first time a couple of years ago was because of Owen Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Because he
Right.
talked about it. It's like, yeah, this is this shit's going on today, and I'm like, well, let me take a look at this. I've always, because I always thought it was just like kind of like the reason I stayed away from it for so long was because like I just thought it was like a sex movie, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't like those type of movies. Like
Right.
I don't like a movie that just has sex in it for just for sex sake.
Mm.
And I watched it, like, no, this movie's saying something, and it
Right.
scared the fuck out of me. It was
Mm.
it really, even today, I'm like, It's
Right. I
still
mean, yeah. I mean, look at if you look at the if you really look, pay attention to the mansion scene. You see very few of the guests participating. It's more of like they're watching.
yeah, it's voyeurism.
It's voyeurism, and it's like, it's like, it's almost to the point where like they don't, they don't view sex the same way as we do, and it's like, or like, the common person does, and it's like it's no longer about connection or enjoyment, but it's more of like this weird, um,
Base passions, like kind of.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's sex has completely become detached, and it's no and it's no and I mean it's no longer about connection or pleasure. It's just more about it's a power thing.
Yeah, it's really fucked up, to be honest. It's just kind of a really nasty thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause nothing, cause a lot of people like, ooh, boobies and sex. Like it's
Yeah, again, like 13-year-old me loved this movie because the boobies. I
yeah,
didn't care. I didn't care about the darker implications of like trafficking or a seedy underbelly that that has like these these dark rituals and or whatever.
yeah,
But but now me, as adult me, I'm just like, holy shit.
yeah. I mean, I only came to this movie a couple of years ago, and there's nothing sexy about this film at all. It's really dark, and even like the stuff like between like Bill and Alice, and now as a married guy, God, I so understand like some of the I understand Bill's frustration. It's like what the like that's what the fuck I'm saying. Like you're not listening. It's like,
Yeah,
but
I
it's not.
mean, not to knock you or anything, but like, yeah, that argument about like what about whether Bill gets hard on touching on other women's boobies, like in this during when he's practicing, it's just like I can so hear your wife like starting shit, over something similar to that.
Yeah, it's like, if I was a doctor, oh god.
I know, it's like how could like especially in like such a sterile clinical situation, how could you get excited over that?
Sex is the last thing that's on my mind.
I know, it's like I'm like, well, let me make sure that let me make sure there's no lumps in your breast, but as soon as I if as soon as I can tell that there's no more lumps, we're totally gonna bang on on the table. It's like,
Yeah, and
no, that's
yeah, and plus like the other thing is like what he was saying is like it's also true. It's like yeah, sex is the last thing on their mind too. It's like they're afraid of what I might find.
hmm
That's
exactly.
why they're there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
No one,
except for maybe
no one,
Marion, who's like, yes, yes,
no one's
touch
trying
my
to bang
breasts.
the doctor.
Yeah, I mean, except for maybe Marion,
Yeah,
but
I mean people are trying to bang a doctor, but not their doctor.
right, yeah, I know, all right, yeah, women are trying to bang doctors, just not their specific doctor.
Yeah, if you're fucking banging like your gyno, you got a problem.
Yeah, I know, like how like unsexy is that? Like again,
Ew.
like the most sterile and clinical situation ever, where
Hey,
you like where you have to like let them know, it's like this is my hand, this is the speculum.
yeah, it's like, hey, man, your pussy looks great. You wanna fuck?
Yeah, it's like someone's been
Dude,
doing their kegels.
if you're a male gyno, oh god, it's so gross.
Although I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard an anecdote where um, a male gynecologist would whistle, but you know what the song was?
What?
I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener. Yeah, during exams he would whistle, and the song that he would whistle is "I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener."
Does he have a little Oscar Mayer wiener like
I know the
whistle?
little whistle, the little.
Which which was it like Judge Reinhold, his character in Santa Claus, that's all he wanted for like as a little
That's what ruined Santa Claus for him because he didn't get an Oscar Mayer whistle. All right. Okay. We're well over 3 hours on this one. So let's wrap it up. All right. That's our review for Eyes Wide Shut. Rob gives it a 5. I give it a 3.5. Would recommend.
The largest disparity we've ever had, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest disparity between me and Rob that in terms of reviews that we've ever had. Usually we're like within like a point of each other or half a point, but yeah, this is the first time we're like 1.5 points? 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5.
1.5 points for each other. But yeah, would recommend. Definitely check it out. You may never see the world the same way again after this.
I don't. After watching. I definitely do not.
Yeah, I mean, you might, maybe you might get able to a place where you can make jokes about Oscar Mayer wieners and gynecologists, but you'll be definitely shocked the first time you watch this movie.
Yeah. Oh God.
All right. Well, that'll bring us to the end of our stream tonight. It was a long one for sure. I hope you guys had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob had a good time. I know Rob. This was the best day of Rob's life.
I'm so happy I had to talk about one of my favorite films. I feel a lot better.
Right? Yeah. He has achieved catharsis.
I know I'm gonna be a little bit tired tomorrow, but I got a giant smile on my face because I got to talk about one of my favorite films. I got to talk about some of the shitty news stories and kind of just get a lot of stuff off of my chest. It was great.
Indeed. Yeah, it's very again, we have reached catharsis. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out the library of other content we have. The Circulator's main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd @PodcastCOJ, and Instagram @Circulatorspodcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us tonight. I know we went longer than usual, but I hope it was as good for you as it was for us. Come back next week, and we'll do it all again next time.
All right.